only to be conscripted into the conflict. Many return home injured, traumatized, or in some cases never make it back. 2 Kenyans are reported to have recently returned, with one currently admitted to Kenyatta National Hospital. The construction of the Regional Maritime and Shipping Logistics Training Center at the cost of 1 billion shillings in the remote village of Wa in Kwale County is almost complete. Education CS Julius Ogamba made the announcement during World Maritime Day celebrations at the Kenya Maritime Authority headquarters in Mombasa.
Kenya government, with the support from the World Bank under the East Africa Skills for Transformation and Regional Integration Project, ESTRIP, has been developing a model training school for maritime transport and port logistics at Wa in Kwale County. This premier facility, operating as a campus of the Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, is now 94% complete and will be ready to register trainees as early as January next year.
The center is expected to admit over 1,500 students from Kenya, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. Ogamba also emphasized the need for stakeholders in the maritime sector to identify skills gaps and align training with industry demands.
It is essential to engage with industry stakeholders, listening to their needs, understanding their skills gaps, and aligning our curriculum with the realities of the sector. Together, we can ensure that our graduates are job ready and equipped to contribute meaningfully to the maritime industry's growth and transformation. The government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Education, remains steadfast in its commitment to investing in education, skills development, and infrastructure that will drive sustainable economic growth.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said he's ready to work with world leaders to implement a peace plan for Israel and the Palestinians announced by France on Monday. Speaking via video at the UN General Assembly, Abbas reiterated his rejection of a future governing role for Hamas in Gaza and demanded it disarm. He also called on countries which had not yet recognized a Palestinian state to do so, and for the UN to grant it full membership. Abbas denounced Israel's military offensive in Gaza, accusing it of committing one of the most horrific humanitarian tragedies of the 20th and 21st centuries. But he said he rejected the actions of Hamas in its attack on Israel on October 7th, 2023. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning and good morning. Ooh, let me arrange myself in the chair before I fall down.
Good morning.
Ngoja kwanza. Acha tuseme good morning tena. Hebu sema again.
Good morning.
Well done.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Niko salama?
Niko poa. Niko salama kabisa.
Nice.
I'm alive and everything is shaping up.
Kila kitu iko shambamba.
Ati?
Kila kitu iko sambamba?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am assuming that it's a good thing.
Yeah, everything is okay.
Yeah, everything is okay.
Nice.
I think I overslept and then that's why I'm feeling tired. Is it possible to be tired from tired? That you're tired is tired? Is it possible?
Is that state of mind?
I don't know. But like now, if you can tell me, Ndu.
Round two.
Just come here. Lie down here. Close your eyes. Close the curtains. Just sleep. I cannot refuse.
It's in your life.
I cannot refuse.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
You know.
And the weekend's here. So we're getting into things. I'm glad to know that you're fine. So Friday, and Ndu and Dennis with you. The other Dennis Okari is in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So
taking ashwagandha.
Taking ashwagandha. So we just continue taking, and it's not a lie, because Anamezanga is a V2. Just confirming that everybody's doing okay and getting into it this Friday. It's the 26th of September already, and September's telling you guys, I'm not your mate. October, November, December, boom, and before you know, 2026. And that's how we play. So with that, we'll have a couple of conversations today, and let me tell you what that will be in just a bit. When we say good morning to EVE, she's looking all floral with pink around her neck, and Joylene has been looking for coffee. Oh, look at that. She has even done the tan.
I know.
EVE. Shocking people every day. Somebody please help Joylene and find coffee, because she's not doing okay, guys. She's not okay.
Mr.
Mwakirani to the rescue. She's not okay. Today, I'm sorry, but the Kofia did not show up. We were trying to see how we can make things work, but Christine has disappointed us gravely.
Yeah.
But she'll still try to make sure that you see the shows through the day. So those are the people who are doing things in the background. Rio came to the office today and then did not want to do his work. We are reporting him on national radio and TV and letting the world know that he has declined his duties. Kabisa.
You know what Kenny would say? Hii ni maajabu, ni vitu utaona tu duniani
tu. Vitu unaona duniani tu.
Yeah.
Hapo ndio tuko.
Yeah.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Ndu and Dennis here with you today as we get into things. There's some conversations that we will have. Indeed, our live streams are up, YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Everybody gather around and let's have this conversation. Our audience on KTN is right here. Wherever you're tuned in, around the nation and indeed the region and the world, we're bringing conversations to you one at a time, and let's have them and talk about them, right? So we're going to start off today with a conversation around food culture, rather food security, food culture. What exactly is going on? Are we at a loss? Are we feeding people, not just putting food in your mouth, but are we actually getting the nutrients that we need? So it's a food conversation at 7, and then we're going to look into the week that was at 8 o'clock, and we'll do that with a number of youth leaders in the country. So that conversation we will have at 8. And then we're going to round things out at 9 o'clock with a Healthy Friday conversation around dementia. You may not know it, but dementia is a thing. And there's early onset of dementia. You'll have people in their 40s. Scary fact. People in their 40s with signs of early dementia and what is causing it and how to actually deal with it. We'll have that as our Healthy Friday conversation at 9. All right, so that's what it looks like. Food at 7, the Weekend Review at 8, and then Healthy Friday at 9. Thanks already for joining us. And let's get more folks into the room and let's click into this conversation as we end the week. Sawa sawa? All right, so we've been in Côte d'Ivoire.
Yes.
Tell us.
So we've just found out, rather established, that Côte d'Ivoire is the home of cocoa, that the reason why we enjoy chocolate, right? They also produce coffee. They also have exports in terms of sportsmen and women, and among them Didier Drogba, who also happens to sit in the football governing body of the country and is doing amazing things in that country. We also have Yaya Toure, who played for Arsenal at some point and was equally a very good player.
Yeah.
You know? Yes, and then you have Gavinho. Gavinho, one would assume, sounds Italian, but simu Italiano, na simu Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, anatoka wapi? Ivory Coast. But also one thing that they've given us is our proverbs. And the proverb today...
God, you're forgetting that there's some 2 female athletes that have actually dominated the 100 and 200 meters from Africa are Côte d'Ivoirians.
Côte d'Ivoirians?
Yes. There are 2 of them. There's Ahure and... I'm going to remember her name in a minute, but she's been there. She's come in 2nd place, 3rd place, quite a lot for over the last few years. I have to remember her name. Just a minute. What is it? Goof. Wait. God, I'm now just...
Let's see.
Talu.
That's
her name.
Kafu and Kala and
So there's Ahure, who's from Cote d'Ivoire, and Mary Jose Talu, now Smith, was running shoulder to shoulder with Shelley Ann Fraser, and I guess she's lifted the. So it's not just the men in football; it's the women on the track. Sawa bas. Okay, carry on, please.
Gender equality. We agree. Sini life. Sini sawa. So tuende kwa proverb.
Sawa.
The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. How would you interpret that?
Oh, wow. All I can think about now is the chameleon. This is interesting because the way the chameleon moves, it's almost like it's doing this as it's walking. And then apart from that, it's got these eyes that can rotate. I think the eyes can do a 360. One can be looking here and the other one can be looking here.
True.
And I guess in order for you to move forward, you have to have a little bit of history.
Yeah. Whatever
it is that you're doing, you have to. Where have you come from in order to chart the path of where you're going? And you can't just keep moving forward. You have to know. You have to have it on some kind of history. There's got to be some kind of foundation in order for you to go in a particular direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, there's the aspect of caution. So before I make this step, is there something behind me that I need to be aware of?
Yeah.
So just being careful where I'm going and also where I'm coming from. Because most of the time, even when you're being attacked, it's always from behind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just being careful and cautious on the steps you're taking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your back needs to be covered.
Thank you.
Even like when you talk about that's interesting, because even when you talk about like who's got your back, it's behind you that needs to be covered, because you need to know that something is behind you in order for you to then be able to move forward.
You know, even when you look at the photos that usually do round, especially during a breakup, when someone is hugging you, they have a knife behind you. So it's just keen and careful to know what's behind you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we're looking at. Good, probably. It would be good to hear what people have to say about that today. Okay, so watch it to Nyamweya. Everybody's clicking into the room this morning, and already good to have you. Indeed, it is Friday, and I just want to say thank you for everybody who clicks into the room and joins us day in, day out. Many, many people online this morning. Good morning from Mombasa. This is Peter Kiarie. Do everything with a good heart and pure intention, and with no expectations, and you will never be disappointed. I agree with that, and thanks for that, Kiarie. Don Sabo says, Ndu, please ask Okari. Well, now we will ask him on Monday, but you know, we can read what your question is. Was the highly hyped, expensive US marketing firm strategy for Kenya a flop, given that he didn't receive a standing ovation but a death what? How are you? Aseto the dancer.
Freshie.
Bus. All right. Good morning and happy Friday from Mombasa, says Robert Mbogo. Rose Grace is also tuned in this morning and says, Siku njema nyote. Thank you so much. Siku njema wote. Jeffrey Nicholas says, good morning, John Dennis. Good morning to you. Isakale says, good morning. Is it true that in Kenya, grief now observes GMT, apparently, that even condolences come with a press release and a time zone disclaimer? Apparently. Kisa Daniel says, good morning. Ijuman Jema kwa ndugu zetu Waislamu. Good morning. Asante sana to everybody. Thank you so much. Leo says, good morning. Now that kids from grade 4 are doing KNEC exams, the KEPSEA exams, okay. How does that integrate with CBC as a continuous assessment model? Okay, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Leo. But so the grade 3 exams, it's a KNEC exam, but essentially it's within the CBC. And then you have another one that's written at grade 6. So I'm not quite sure which one you mean here, but yeah, we get it. Samuel Juma says, hello, my good people tuned in from central Finland. Keep doing the good job. Margaret Wanjohi says, good morning, friends at SpiceFM. Tune in from Houston. Let's continue the great conversation. Happy Friday and have a great weekend. JB Mutua says, good morning. Happy Friday, Spice family. Tuned in from New Jersey for today's discussions. Ndu and Dennis, I hope you don't have any timing synchronization issues. Shindo, we're here. Good morning, says Christina A. It's Friday. By the way, since last Health Friday, I've been trying to brush my teeth in a circular motion. Well done. That's what we're told works.
Yeah.
But it's not my thing. I've never tried for 20 years. It's very difficult. Yeah, well, maybe there's no time to change but the present.
Yeah, I think the more you do it, the more you get used to it. It becomes a normal.
It becomes normal. Finally, Friday, says Agole. Good morning, good people. Good morning to you. Zach OK says, thank God it's Friday. Bernard Kineti says, good morning from Alabama. Ndu, could you please bring in Nyamweya? Okay, if he is working on it, Cindy, am I lying? No, I'm not. Okay, she will. He explains that Constitution so clearly that even the simplest amongst us can understand it. All right, well, let's look into it. Friday, good morning, Friday clubs. All right, King Dave, we see you. Good morning. Mashari and Njeri was tuning in this morning. Someone needs to know that in Kenya, you are 7 hours ahead of New York. Okay. Sour. Eric Orr says good morning. Ouma Oyamo says good morning. Morning team, we're heading to NDC for Jubilee. A lot of things are happening. Party primaries here and there. National Delegates Conference. Collins Munyaka says good morning. Tuning from Nyeri. Hello from Kuala Lumpur, says Peter Goge. Dan Stillingat is tuned in. Good morning, Chebabe. Good morning, Chebabe. Asante Sana. Good morning, Aseto. He says, Kip Kellyon is listening. Duke FX says, good morning. It's almost the weekend. And Bwangi Juma is tuned in and says, how are you this blessed Friday? We're doing well. Isaac Gilumba says, good morning, team. Deno and Ndu. Josh Willie says, I love your show. God bless you. And to you as well. Ivan Omonde tuned in and says, happy good morning, Spices. Lilian Atieno, good morning, team. You're off air in Kisumu. Allah? 102.4? Why?
Should 102.4 or 2.5?
I don't know.
I think it's 0.5, but yeah, we will have the technical.
102.5 actually.
Yeah.
All right, George Okoh says good morning. It's time for the government. Is it that the government cannot communicate with its employer or just out of touch? Good question. Tune in from Miami, Florida. The chameleon cannot pass the test of Lutu's wife, says Bwangi Juma. Good morning from Isiolo, says Nasir Ansar. SpiceFM is addictive. Those are the kind of addictions that we like. Soldier Boy is tuned in this morning from Atlanta. We now see the president decided to report on obituaries and high forum meetings. That actually took was a thing, yeah? Especially when the folks don't know this is a problem.
The insensitivity, man.
Yeah.
That guy has a family, man. Like the people. And also expectations in terms of, I also hope that...
I want to know, without the glare of the world, if my loved one has passed on. I want to know, especially since they were in such a high-octane situation.
Yeah.
I would want to know. And I think the way in which this was handled was unfortunate.
It was unfortunate, yeah.
Kids are doing KNEC exams. Yeah. It's okay, so there's a grade 3 assessment. There's a global assessment that takes place in grade 3, another one in grade 6, another one in grade 9, and then the final one in grade 12. That's how it's now been demarcated. Michael Gashohi says, good morning, tune in from Sigona. Where is Sigona? Sounds like a place I'd like to visit. Peter, we see you. And good morning to everybody. As you keep joining us today, just tell us that you're here and definitely acknowledging your presence as we get into these conversations this morning. All right. Let's look into the headlines today, and we're going to start off by looking into onto the front page of the Standard, Kenya's bold newspaper. A disturbed man is what's on the Standard. The Anglican Church has torn into the Kenya Kwanzaa administration, accusing it of hiding behind statistics, while Wananchi remain trapped in economic despair. Archbishop Jackson Olisapit warned that the government's handout-style empowerment schemes are fueling frustration instead of easing joblessness and the high cost of living. A new Infotrack survey backs the church's position, with 57% of Kenyans saying the country is on the wrong path, citing overtaxation, corruption, poor healthcare, and youth unemployment as proof that official claims of stability ring hollow. These are the issues raised by the church: unemployment and youth despair, constitutionalism and governance, our economic outlook and corruption, human life and dignity, health sector challenges, education crisis, church governance and policies, peace and political stability. Pollster findings say that 57% of citizens who believe the country is headed in the wrong direction. And according to this as well, causes of high cost of living, taxes 40%, global factors 19%, government policies 16%, corruption 14%. Pessimism drivers, high cost of living 66%, unemployment 30%, poor governance 15%, shift SHA not working 15%, corruption 14%. And I quote Jackson Olisapit, the ACK Archbishop, the level of unemployment among our young people is worrying and creating a sense of despair. The persisting culture of extravagance at both national and county government levels remains worrying. So we saw that come out, and the church is taking no prisoners here and saying, fix it. That's it. We'll look into more details. Include us in the compensation committee, protest victims urged. They said we were the ones who were whatever.
Yeah.
Put us on the thing. Put us also on the committee. Let us have a representative. Now, there's a CEO who was texting and doing things on his phone. And in a message, now he has to pay 1.2 million shillings. What am I saying? Flirt text, lewd clip, snare CEO and cost him 1.2 million shillings. One night stand, WhatsApp message and a sexually explicit or hangla video sent by an IT company's chief executive officer to a female employee following a night out has cost his firm 1.2 million shillings. I know you want to know about it. So as we continue with the headlines, we'll come back and tell you that story. Just hang on. Bishops say drop in price of unga is not enough as Kenyans struggle. You cannot tell us that you have dropped the price of unga and so now therefore the cost of living has gone down. I mean, come on.
You know, it's fine. The cost of unga has gone down, but taxation has gone up. So at the end of everything balances.
There you
I'm
go.
pretty much the same position where I was. You know.
There's another story here. State stalls on paying media 864 million shillings. Aki si tafadhalini si tunaomba tu rokiro safi.
Fanyeni ile kitu.
Simtulipe tafadhali. Hiyo tu. Just please find it in your heart.
Read that headline again.
State stalls on paying media 864 million shillings debt. Sasa tunaomba tafadhali. Simtulipe ndio sasa nini. I'll read the story again, but I'm asking you from my heart of hearts. Have mercy. Jubilee to decide its fate today as Uhuru leads delegates conference. That's happening with Jubilee. It will be interesting to see what they come up with at the end of the day. There might be what you people are saying will be shockers.
Yeah.
But let's see.
You never know. The earthquake.
Earthquake. I'm still waiting for that earthquake. The one that we told it was going to be Vuguru, what?
Vugu.
But yo.
I said that was an earthquake in 2022.
It didn't. It happened.
You didn't see?
To me, I'm wondering.
Okay.
Yes.
But originally the earthquake ended up with that party folding, so.
Okay. So that was the earthquake?
I think so.
Sour.
But it's in life.
Police admit officer died in Haiti, claimed relatives were briefed. Excuse me. A woman was crying in the way in which she was crying. Does that look like somebody who had been told before that her husband had died?
You know, we've seen how the government as well has handled the previous officers who died. And we saw the processes that followed. The government actually came out in a press conference. We saw how the bodies were repatriated back into the country. That never happened on this individual that you're talking about right now. So there's, I mean, guys, just admit here you've blundered and take your L and live with it.
Blundered is a better word than the one that you were going to use.
Yes.
Thank you for using blundered. I was looking at you. I was praying to God in heaven.
No, I wanted to say they faulted.
You want to say they faulted. Sour. Yeah. Believe you.
Yeah. You know, blunder comes with a punch. Blunder. Faulting is a bit.
Faulting is too soft.
It's too soft.
Sour.
Yeah.
I know. So I mean, come on. You can't tell us that she knew and then she was weeping in the manner in which she was. Come on. IEBC rules out boundaries review before 2027 and seeks 57 billion shillings for polls. The Attorney General had actually come before Parliament months ago and said, you know what, this boundary review that we are thinking will be done, it's supposed to be done every 10 years. This time, and it's due in 2026.
Yeah.
It's due, but we're not going to be able to do it because of who knows. So, EFECON has essentially come out and said, boundaries review, OTEC small, cannot happen. But while you're at it, we need some 57 billion for elections. So, take it. Looking for the monies. That's
so what happens to what the Constitution demands that you do?
Which Constitution?
On the review of boundaries.
Just hold on. We'll come to that later. For now, we need 57 billion.
Yeah, okay.
Even if we don't review the boundaries, we are still here. We're living.
Hatuna time.
Bas, thanks.
Okay, vipengee vya Constitution vinaweza tulia. Okay, let's go to the Daily Nation, all right? So, whistleblower on SHA fraud loses job.
Why?
Yeah. Andrew Rotich, the auditor who unearthed an alleged medical billing racket that prompted the closure of 1,300 rogue hospitals, has lost his job at the Social Health Authority. Appointed the Deputy Director Forensic Audit and Risk Assurance in April this year, he is not among shortlisted candidates for fresh interviews for the post. So you make noise in the interest of Kenyans and so that SHA works well. What happens to you? You lose your job. Yeah. Here, a gift for you. And Kenya-France relationship. President William Ruto gifts his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron a Kenya artifact during bilateral talks on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, USA. The leaders announced that Kenya and France will co-host the Africa Forward Africa-France Partnership for Innovation and Growth Summit in Nairobi in May 2026. The summit will bring together African and French heads of state and government as part of the renewal of relations between France and African nations. I'd really want to know if the Francophone countries from the region would actually attend. This includes Burkina Faso, the Sahel countries, the Gambia, if they will really be in that meeting. And how, and in terms of diplomacy, what this meeting would mean to these other African states who are now walking away from France, you know. Wait and see. Why IEBC won't create new electoral units ahead of 2027? Tumesema wanataka bilioni ngapi? 57. Sema 57.
57.
Yes. Now, thugs in uniform, police officers arrested in suspected robbery ring. Now, minor held for violating Kenyan flag. The two boys have actually been arrested, and we wait to see the next course of action that we will be taking. Are they minors? That's the first question we need to ask. And after that, how then will the police proceed with that? Now, 4 seized as detectives probe puzzles of woman's body delivered in parcel. Remember the story we were talking about yesterday? Now, detectives in Muranga have arrested 4 people after a taxi driver on Wednesday delivered a woman's body disguised as a parcel to Kangari police station. In custody so far are the victim's estranged husband, 2 of her sons, and the taxi driver. Her sons.
Aye? Just say that again.
2 of her sons, the taxi driver and the husband, are among those who have been arrested.
Aye. Okay, with that story we're going to open it up a little bit and see exactly what's going on there, because this one is strange.
Yeah, and the king of officer killed in Haiti, accused state of heartlessness, and House team supports petition to decriminalize attempted suicide. Yeah. So you look at this star.
All right, so here we go. On the front page of the Star, there's a highlight that we're looking at their report. Big trouble in Kenya's top hospitals. That doesn't stop from being the main of the story. And fresh dispute between police chiefs. Oversight agency throws police hiring into disarray. They're still like a dog with a bone. They're not letting go of this thing. And so it's between the National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission in terms of who can hire. IG Douglas Kanja was asked to hand over the payroll to the commission. That hasn't happened. They're saying, okay, so how do we hire? They're still saying we're at loggerheads. Now or never. Declares Kalonzo as opposition braces for storm. This is the time, he says, that we need to actually get this done. In terms of what an opposition will be and in terms of who will come in to form opposition leadership. Deepening rift scuttles police recruitment drive. That's what we're looking at. DCI arrests suspect linked to Kenyan flag desecration. So apparently somebody is arrested because of that.
Yeah.
Also, public hospitals gasping for breath amid financial woes and staff shortage. I mean, it just doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. Back to back to back to back. IEBC shuts doors on boundary review before 2027 election. We know that that's supposed to take place. Also, that's the headline that we see on some other headlines as well. So there's an inquiry. Remember the Kian Jokoma brothers?
Yeah.
The 2 brothers who died. There was an inquest into what happened and whether the 6 police officers who were then arrested and for who there was, questions about how they were involved in this. The inquest now is showing that they died from severe head injuries. One of the witnesses says that, and of course now into the trial, the witness who the court said would not be named for safety reasons said both bodies had fragmental skull fractures, which could not have been the case had they fallen from a moving vehicle. So these were inflicted either by an object or by hands. Sad. So that inquest into now a trial is what is currently sitting. Kenya could lose Mara ecosystem in 10 years. Allah. Land use changes are the biggest drivers of the threat, according to Professor Joseph Agutu. And you could see that as you use land for things like agriculture and such, this ecosystem that you're trying to conserve could actually be lost. All right. So those are some of the things that we're looking into. Also, you want to tell us what's on the Nairobian?
Nairobian. So on the page, on the... How MP snatched hubby and property, co-wife from hell. Now, court papers reveal that Ketu Ruguru stormed the family's matrimonial home, sprinkling some liquid on the floor and declaring she was casting out demons in an attempt to drive her rival out. The former MP is accused of orchestrating a divorce and convincing Peter Waweru to secretly transfer 6 prime properties, including family home in Mombasa and Nairobi, leaving the first wife of over a decade and 3 young daughters in the court. That has been expounded in pages 4 and 5. And we also have calling shots, super rich women changing sponsor culture. What does that really mean? She'll look at that a little bit later. And border from economic lifeline to deadly beast. And that is a picture of how accidents happen on our roads, and many of them caused by border. And how Kenyan queens stamped the authority in Tokyo. And in there we see the Kenyan queens enjoying themselves. That is Kenya's Faith Kipyegon with Beatrice Chebet at the end of women's 5,000 meters final. Just gotta give it to these ladies, man. They just did the country proud and continue to fly the Kenyan flag high. Those are the stories that we have on the Nairobian. We shall be looking deeper into them a little bit later. But let's go to, you want to start with the story that you're looking into?
All right, so let me tell you the story that makes its way into the Standard this morning. And this one about the courts, because the things that we do every day, the things that you do every day and you think it's just normal behavior, well, it's landed a man 1.2 million shillings less. A one-night stand, a WhatsApp message, and a sexually explicit Ohangla video sent by an IT company's chief executive officer to a female employee following a night out have cost his firm 1.2 million shillings. That thing that you think you do innocently, let me tell you. The employee told the Employment and Labour Relations Court that she was forced to resign after alleged rape and sexual harassment by the CEO of Power IT Solutions Limited, coupled with a salary reduction and unfair treatment after reporting the matter. Although the executive denied raping her while she was tipsy, Judge Stella Ruto found that the woman's decision to seek medical attention the same night, coupled with the CEO's incriminating message, led to the conclusion that she was actually telling the truth. The judge ruled that the WhatsApp video, which contained sexual innuendos in its English translation, crossed professional boundaries, regardless of the CEO's claim that it was humor, and that he had also sent it to his wife and others. Okay. The text messages sent by the first respondent to the claimant, when considered along the definition of sexual harassment, led me to conclude that they constitute sexual harassment, according to Justice Ruto. The incident occurred on January 14th, 2023 at the Orchid Club in Nairobi. The employee testified that the CEO raped her at the RFUEA grounds car park as she went to receive her bag from the backseat of his car, retrieve her bag, from the backseat of his car. She said she was tipsy, unable to fight back or scream. She narrated that her colleague, whom she was to share a taxi with, found her after waiting at the entrance of the club's grounds, distressed and in tears. Her colleague accompanied her to St. Peter's Hospital in Muthiga, but she was turned away for lack of a police report and a P3 form. She said she was hesitant to record a statement, given that she was still distressed, but the following day she sought treatment at Coptic Hospital. The claimant told the court she endured the trauma silently at first, fearing the financial insecurity of losing her job in a tough economy. She later sought help from the organization's Usikimye after receiving further inappropriate memes and texts from the CEO. So even after this day, allegedly, the CEO continued to send her these messages. And she said, Hapana, I cannot. Now, if you look at the story at a glance, Justice Ruto found that the CEO's action formed worst kind of gender-based violence at the workplace. She also ruled that his actions made the female employees leave her employment. Power IT Solutions was required by law to ensure that its workplace was free of sexual harassment and gender-based violence. The female employee did not need to prove beyond doubt that she was raped because she had the messages and then also the behavior thereafter.
She sought treatment.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is highly probable that the sexual encounter was not consensual. The kind of language he used after was not humor. One night stand and her subsequent response leave no doubt that the CEO was referring to a sexual encounter with her. His first message to her was just too inappropriate to send to a junior employee. So based on all of this, the judge said, I don't need anything else. And if we can look at what we see in messages that you have kept, this is how I'm going to rule. So compensation, number one, and asked to do certain things. The CEO claimed that the choice of his language was meant to make her open up about what she had said happened on the night of January 13th. He alleged that they were driving to the club. She touched his ears and head inappropriately, and that he felt awkward knowing he was a married man. Nevertheless, he said that he assumed she was intoxicated and that she had drunk alcohol at the office. He claimed that his wife joined them at the club around midnight and they continued making merry until 2 a.m. where people started to leave. According to him, his colleagues, including the complainant, also decided to leave. As they were leaving, he said that she requested to pick her laptop bag, which she had left in his car. He alleged she behaved inappropriately towards him, wrapping her hands around his waist, but assumed she needed help walking down the stairs, and she appeared to be intoxicated. So when they reached the car, he claimed she had asked him to help her retrieve her bag, which was at the back seat of his car. According to him, she then proceeded to enter the car, and instead of picking up her bag, she sat in the car. He further claimed that he had asked her to go pick up her bag and she wanted to get back to the club where his wife was waiting for him. Remember, they had said they were leaving. Yeah. Anyway, the man said that at some point he entered the car in an attempt to plead with her to pick up her bag and leave, but she apparently started touching and fondling him. He said he was startled. He was shocked. Allah, what's happening here?
Happening?
This is very, come on, stop it. And immediately he left the car. The female colleague who had been waiting for him appeared shortly afterwards. She ran after him. Justice Ruto, however, said, stop it. She found his account inconsistent. Even me, I'm finding it inconsistent now as we're reading it here. And she said, you know what? You need to stop it. And he noted that the woman had a post-rape case, care form rather, to corroborate her testimony. She says, I highly doubt that the claimant would make a fun trip to St. Peter's in Muthiga in the wee hours of the morning because she was bored. So, on a balance of probability, this court is persuaded that there was a sexual encounter between the claimant and the first respondent and that it was not consensual.
And then again, if you also look at the text message of the one-night stand that was sent to this woman, why would you send such a message to someone who you did not have a sexual encounter with? I mean, that text alone ties
Why
you down.
text her?
Why
Exactly.
text her?
And then continue to text her later.
Yeah, or Hangla music that touches a border's line on sexual. I mean, bro, do better.
Come on.
And then your wife was there.
Ati.
And you are leaving. And then you were startled. Oh my God, aliniguza masikio, and now I feel some type of way.
It's inappropriate.
Kata masikio.
Wow.
Ndio
Okay.
iache kushikwa.
Moving on.
Yeah, so there's this story on the Daily Nation, yeah? 4 seized as detectives probe puzzle of woman's body delivered in parcel. Detectives in Muranga have arrested 4 people after a taxi driver Wednesday delivered a woman's body disguised as a parcel to Kangari police station. In custody so far are the victim's estranged husband, 2 of her sons, and the taxi driver. The dead woman was yesterday identified by relatives as Hannah Wanjiku, 53-year-old mother of 6. Her sister, Miss Mary Kiru, said Wanjiku had suffered gender-based violence and had fled her matrimonial home. My late sister had 3 children out of wedlock whom she left in the care of our parents in Kamukabi village before getting married in Mairi. Ms. Kiru said she later had 3 more children, now aged 22, 20 and 19. In the past 3 months, Ms. Kiru added her sister had left her matrimonial home in Mairi and rented a house in Njeri's village where she worked as a casual laborer in tea plantations. We received a report Tuesday that she had been murdered and parked as a parcel in transit, she said. Now, Kigumo Sub-County Police Commander Hassan Bashir confirmed that 4 suspects are assisting with investigations. The taxi driver drove into Kangari Police Station and narrated to our officers how he had been hired on September 23rd to deliver a neatly wrapped parcel to a contact in Kangari town, said Mr. Bashir. Now, the driver who operates public transport between Makomboki Market and Kangari Town said he was approached by a middle-aged man wearing a hoodie and carrying luggage. The driver said the man asked whether I could deliver the parcel to a contact who would be waiting in Kangari Town. I helped the man load the luggage onto the carrier of my car. After he paid me in cash, I drove off, leaving him behind. I had been told that the recipient of the luggage would be waiting outside a non-business premises, but when I arrived, there was no one. I asked around, but no one showed any interest in the luggage. My customer had assured me that he had shared my car's number plates with the recipient who was supposedly awaiting. After waiting for about an hour, he grew suspicious. The taxi driver said he panicked when he realized he had neither the customer's contact nor those of the recipient. Now, according to reports, when the taxi driver tried to unload the parcel from the carrier, it emerged to be that he needed help, prompting several officers to assist. That is when the grim details began to unfold. The package was unusually heavy and emitted an odor that attracted flies. It had been wrapped in several layers. Now, the murder suspects, police later moved the body to Githum Hospital mortuary pending postmortem. In a twist, officers promptly arrested the taxi driver as murder suspects to assist with investigations. Now, postmortem findings will shed light on how the woman died, while forensic analysis will help identify anyone who may have come into contact with the luggage, Mr. Bashir said. Now, the taxi driver who is in custody would also help to establish whether the woman's death, the husband or either of her 2 sons recruited him to deliver the parcel.
Wow. What are we saying? We're essentially saying a husband and his 2 sons were involved in the murder and packaging like a parcel of this woman.
Yeah. Because remember, the woman had 3 kids before, then got married to this man and had 3 other kids who were aged between 20 and 19 to 22. So it is alleged 2 of these man's sons killed her.
Okay, I hope we're still, dancing in the arena of the alleged.
Where, if leave alone even in terms of as the police continue with that, I ask the question: when did we get here that we no longer respect life? That you can kill someone, go ahead and package them, carry the body for kilometers, put it behind a vehicle and have it transported and dropped somewhere. And you're still walking around thinking life will continue as normal.
No, man. No. No. I don't to even narrate it or to even think that could be the case is very bothersome, and that this is where we are in life.
And remember, this is not the first case, because remember of the individual who killed several women in Nairobi. We've seen such happen. The lady whose bodies are found, body parts are found in the cemetery.
Quarry. Oh no, the cemetery. Different from quarry.
Yeah. Then we have the quarry murders that happened as well. I mean, it's one too many deaths in the country and happening in the most gruesome manner. And man, I'm asking myself the question: when did we get here?
Yeah, blood is crying though.
Yeah.
And if you see some of the things that are happening in society, you don't be surprised that blood is crying, and that we've lost the respect for the sanctity of life. to the point whereby, for whatever reason, if somebody harms you, gone are the days when somebody harms you and you use words to deal with an issue.
Yeah.
Now we're saying take away life.
Take away life.
And what if somebody doesn't harm you? Even if somebody is a threat to you, we see the next action is to take away their life. No, man, we can't. We're spiraling into this abyss. And to then be able to get out of it is going to be a very, very tall order.
Yeah.
We need a reset of our value system.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Because I believe even if someone has wronged you so much, there is always the option of walking away. You could always ask for help to handle
Divorce
that.
her.
Divorce
Leave
her.
her.
Leave
Come
her.
on.
Let life
Don't kill her.
continue. Yeah.
If what we're saying allegedly happened, then oh my God, there are better ways to handle things.
There are.
My goodness.
There are. Like, there's always a way to solve issues. It doesn't have to get here. It shouldn't get here.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
It's just very heavy to think that's a solution that we're saying that people are going towards. So all of you are wondering why IEBC, I'm sorry, I mean, that story, sometimes we need to just, it'll be interesting to see what that case unfurls to be. But it's very, very unsettling and worrying that is a direction that we've taken for some things. Okay, so why will IEBC not change boundaries before the 2027 polls? Let me tell you. It's unlikely to head into 2027 general election without a review of the electoral boundaries. Rather, Kenya is likely to head into the 2027 general election without a review of electoral boundaries. The constitutionally mandated exercise, which redraws constituencies and wards to reflect population changes, now faces delays and uncertainty. It usually happens every 10 years. The boundary review is among the most politically sensitive undertakings in the electoral cycle, as it determines whether constituencies are split, merged, or scrapped, with direct consequences for political representation and careers. So if that happens, then okay, so me who was a representative of a ward, if my ward no longer exists, I can't run again? Or will I now contest for the bigger one? Or if you were in a constituency that then no longer exists, or it's merged with another one, do we then now duke it out for, the leadership of that one? And it goes across board. So that's essentially what happens. And then populations, if they're dwindling, do you now merge them to become one area that covers? Those are the things that you look at in a boundary review. The last review was carried out in 2012. Then, when 27 constituencies fell short of the minimum population threshold, they were protected to save them from abolition. Then lawmakers, whose approval was required, refused to endorse their removal. Since then, population growth has raised the average constituency quota calculated by dividing the national population by the constitutionally fixed 290 constituencies. So according to the Constitution, we're going to have 290. You're not going to go beyond that. If that is to change, you're going to have to go to referendum and change that. This means that if the formula were applied strictly today, even more constituencies would fall below the threshold, putting them at risk of being scrapped. In fact, based on the 2019 census, the IEBC last year flagged at least 40 constituencies are failing to meet the population requirement. You must be of a certain population to then be deemed as a constituency. 40 currently are below that. The IEBC chairperson, Erastus Ethekon, yesterday told the National Assembly's Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee that the Commission simply cannot complete the delimitation exercise before the 2027 polls. He's basically saying there's no time. The process, he said, requires 2 to 3 years, a timeline already rendered impossible by constitutional deadlines that have lapsed, such as you have constituencies that don't have members of parliament because of certain reasons. You've not done by-elections. Those will happen this year in 27th of November. But it only leaves you 1 year then for boundary review. That's not going to happen. He says it's a constitutional crisis that requires MPs who hold the sovereign power of the state to do something about it. He described the exercise as emotionally charged and noting that the immense political pressure and legal hurdles that the IEBC faces. So he's saying with all of these things put together, it is going to be impossible for us to hold a boundary review before 2027. Already, remember what we're looking at is that about 40 constituencies currently are unconstitutional, that they don't meet the population requirement or the standard, so those should actually be scrapped, merged with other constituencies. But they don't even have the time to do that, and they don't have the time to review others to say that, are we going to expand, reduce, scrap? So that's not going to happen. So right now, all the constituencies that you have, you can go ahead essentially and say that you're going to have the election with the constituencies as they are currently constituted. Not going to change. Sorry.
But then again, you see, when you talk about, you have about 40 constituencies that are unconstitutional as you speak due to population. What then does that mean to the people who will be representing the individuals in those offices? Because remember, this constituency is unconstitutional as read, as described by the law. So if you go to election, are we not staring at a situation where we are creating a loophole for litigation, for individuals to go to court to say these 40 constituencies are unconstitutional according to the requirements of the Constitution?
Absolutely.
So then again, why are we not looking at a position where, for us to avoid litigation later, deal with the matter now so that we know how many constituencies we have according to the Constitution and just move?
They don't have time.
You know,
the process needs 3 years. But you should also be asking the question, why didn't it happen between 2012 and 2024? Yeah. Why didn't it happen? Why didn't we do it then? Yeah.
Because there is 2012 to 2024. And then remember, when we talk about, we've had IEBC before. We had the chairperson of IEBC, Mr. Chebukati, in office, and they were working throughout. So then, why didn't they do this then? Because remember, as much as the leadership, one would say the commission has changed faces, but the commission has remained. There's no day that IEBC stopped existing in the country. It's only those in these offices who keep on changing. That means this exercise ought to have continued anyway.
Absolutely. It should have. I don't know. It just seems as though we are just doing things like...
we're doing things, and the Constitution of Kenya, unfortunately, seems to individuals, some people in this country, as a suggestion and not the supreme law of the land. And until that time when we uphold the Constitution, we respect the Constitution and implement the Constitution and live by the tenets of the Constitution, only then will we realize the greatness that the Constitution has given the people of Kenya.
Indeed, it's true. We're coming to the top of the hour. Let me tell you the story about a 17-year-old boy who's been arrested in connection with disrespecting the Kenyan flag. The DCI has announced in a statement that the DCI said the suspect, Ibrahim Haider Yusuf, was among the individuals seen in a viral video and has been sought since September 20th, 2025. The incident occurred between between Mogadishu City Club and Police FC, where two individuals were captured on camera desecrating the national flag. The DCI described the act as both unlawful and deeply offensive to the values upheld as a nation. He went on to say that any person who shows disrespect in speech, manner, or writing to or with reference to the national anthem or to any specified emblem, specified likeness, or specified name, or any representation thereof shall be guilty of an offense. The statement read in part. It added, efforts to arrest the remaining individuals who believed to be within the country are ongoing. Somali ambassador to Kenya on Wednesday, Jabril Ibrahim Abdullah, described the actions as regrettable and confirmed the authorities were investigating the matter for possible action. So that's what it looks like.
No, let me tell you. You see, if you pass outside any building and the police officers are lowering the flag, there is always the whistle.
You have to stand.
You have to stand because you respect that flag. I grew up at a point where that always had to happen. We were taught on the importance of the Constitution, the loyalty pledge, the anthem. These are things that were instilled in us. It is so heartbreaking that one would just wake up and start desecrating the flag.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that story plays out. Let's look at more that's happening. Let's talk about food when we come in at 7. Good morning. It's 7 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. The former ruling Jubilee Party will chart its path today in a special national delegates conference led by former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who's the party leader. A notice issued by Uhuru earlier this month stated that the conference will receive a status report from the National Executive Committee as well as review, formulate and approve its constitution, organs, policies and programs. The party is also expected to initiate an exit from the moribund Azimio coalition and consider and approve any other matters. His party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni.
For 3 years, we've been bogged in the courts. We are finally free. And he has finally an opportunity to tell us as a party, what direction do we take? What does he want the party to do going forward? The most important thing is that for Kenyans and members of Jubilee to know their party is back and available for them.
The body of Kennedy Mutuku Nzuve, a Kenyan police officer who died while serving in the Kenyan-led multinational security support mission in Haiti, is expected to arrive in Nairobi today. Corporal Nzuve, aged 41, was a member of the National Police Service's Rapid Deployment Unit. Nzuve died in a crash on August the 31st after an armored vehicle overturned during a towing operation. The accident left 8 other officers injured, 3 of them seriously, and claimed the lives of 2 Haitian civilians. Nzuve's remains were flown to the Dominican Republic for preservation. The National Police Service has finally admitted that its officer, Benedict Kabiru, was killed while in Haiti for the multinational security support mission. In a statement on Thursday, police spokesperson Mushiri Nyaga said the confirmation followed an extensive search and rescue operation by the MSS, working with the Haitian National Police. Nyaga said the police have been in close contact with Kabiru's family since his disappearance in March and pledged continued collaboration with Haitian authorities to provide updates. But the family said they were only informed of his death on Wednesday night, hours after President William Ruto had already announced it at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Ruto's announcement that Kabiru was among 3 Kenyan officers who died in Haiti shocked Kabiru's relatives in Thamanda village.
Colleagues, and the whole report is going to be made public by the IG, but the family has been informed. The National Police Service visited his family. It may have been, I saw some people raised concern that the message from the president went public before his family was visited. When that news was confirmed, the National Police Service dispatched a team to visit the family.
Safina Party leader Jimmy Wanjigi has renewed his criticism of President William Ruto, accusing him of taking loans that benefit close allies while burdening ordinary Kenyans with repayment. Speaking in Nairobi during the party membership drive, Wanjigi claimed the government's excessive borrowing has led to high taxes, saying 70 shillings out of every 100 collected goes to debt repayment. He emphasized the opposition's resolve to ensure that Ruto fails to secure a second term, citing alleged human rights violations, including abductions and extrajudicial killings.
Waende asiende? Na watu yako waende asiende? Waende asiende? Ule ambao namkaribia waende asiende? Waende asiende? Bas, tutengeneze nchi sasa. Tutengeneze nchi. Wachana na huyo mjamaa. Hata kwangu alikuja kuvamia watoto wangu na bibi. Anatuma askari 100. Tuko watu 4 kwa hiyo boma. Unatuma askari 100 ya nini?
President Donald Trump announced a new wave of tariffs on Thursday, including a 100% levy on branded drug imports unless a firm is building a manufacturing plant in the U.S. Washington will also impose a 25% tariff on imports of all heavy-duty trucks and 50% levies on kitchen and bathroom cabinets, he said, as he announced a slew of industry-focused duties on his Truth Social platform. The reason for this is the large-scale flooding of these products into the United States by other outside countries, Trump wrote, citing the need to protect American manufacturers from foreign imports. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state of, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, coming into it at 10 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. It's Friday and getting into our final conversations for the week. And even as we do, we'll let you into that, what we're talking about right now. At 10 minutes past 7, we're going into a food security conversation. And our live streams are up, YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Our audience on KTN continue to say good morning and joining us in these conversations today. All right, so at this point, we're going to be the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. It's today, and that's where we are right now. Professor Jane Ambuko is a horticulturalist and post-harvest specialist, University of Nairobi. She joins us this morning. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Happy to be here today.
Good to have you back in the studio. Always a pleasure. And let's look into some of these things. Dr. Franklin Otiende Awor is a senior lecturer at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, as well as a researcher at AfriFood Links Project. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for joining us this morning as we get into things. Even as we get into this conversation, the International Day of the Awareness of Food Loss. Okay. There's a day for everything, but unfortunately, Unfortunately, there's too much loss of food. And probably this is an everyday conversation as opposed to just a one-day conversation. So we're going to get into it today. Before we do, Dennis is taking us to Côte d'Ivoire. And we'd like to hear your interpretation of the proverb that he'll share.
Côte d'Ivoire, some of the things that are well known for is rubber. They produce rubber. So if you drove here, that tire perhaps has part of Côte d'Ivoire in it. If you love chocolate, cocoa comes from this country. 40% of the world cocoa comes from Côte d'Ivoire, and it's a country that borders Liberia, Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and the Atlantic Ocean. But let's go to the proverb today. The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. Ladies, go first. How would you interpret that?
Okay, the chameleon looks in front and behind before walking.
Yes.
Means checking for danger on both sides before you move. Yeah.
That's your interpretation.
Would I say that the same way, say, before you cross the road, you look left and right?
Perhaps, yeah.
So you don't know what is lurking behind, or, someone who's following you, who's after you, or in front, what danger lies ahead. Probably so, just being safe. Probably.
All right. Dr. How would you interpret that?
First, I love animals, so that's how they are. And it's just the unique nature of chameleon. But in terms of interpreting it, I would say the chameleon wants to be aware of its environment. So he has to scan before he moves, trying to assess threats or anything that might be worthy of his or its not. So just situational awareness. Where am I and what is happening around me? Who is there?
All right.
Yes.
So just being careful in every step that you make.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So that makes it just in terms of also related to us as you walk. Remember where you're coming from and where you're going. Just be aware.
Indeed.
Exactly.
Right. So it's the International Day of the Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. Okay, there's an international day. I would want to understand, first of all, why is there an international day for this thing, which happens to be an everyday occurrence? We'll start with you, Prof. Well, no, that we're both Prof. We'll start with Professor Mbuko. We'll start with you in terms of why. Why is there a day?
Why there's a day? There's a day for, like you said, there's a day for everything. There's a day for, I saw yesterday there was a day for contraception. There's a day for, so I think the reason we have a day for something is to amplify, the issue and call to action. So like the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste was put in place in 2019 by the UN. Now the UNGA is happening in New York. So they noticing or acknowledging the importance of food loss and waste in the sustainability of our food systems. That's why this day was put in place to make sure that we, first of all, we raise awareness about the problem, because it seems that people are actually not aware that we have food loss and waste as a problem in our food system. So it is, first of all, raising awareness so that people know it's a problem, and then call to action. Yeah, because again, it's a problem. Who needs to act? What do they need to do? So when this day is observed, and it's observed globally, so as we'll be doing our local thing in Kisumu, but it is being observed locally. So that time, people showcase action towards food loss and waste, but also it's a call to action for government, for private sector, for research and academia like myself, for consumers. So it is actually a day. So during that day, there is usually a lot of activities. So that, so when we do it, it's our hope that those who didn't know that we lose so much food or waste so much food get to know that it is actually happening, and there is a responsibility that each one of us can do something about it. Whether you're whichever sector you are, is actually is a day for call to action also. Not so that we always say that serikali, government, whatever, but all of us have a role to play. So during that day, we usually raise awareness, let people know how their own actions are contributing to the problem, but two, how they can act as individuals or as institutions or organizations to actually address the problem. Because we have, under the SDGs, we have a target that has been set to halve food waste by 2030. Yeah, for us to get there,
to have food waste come to an end,
as in to halve,
right.
So from the current losses, halve it by the year 2030. How do we get there? There has to be collective action by all of us. So that's why this day is important.
Okay.
That we raise awareness and call to action.
So what is food loss and waste?
Food loss and waste. I would start with food loss. Basically from the farm to the retail shop. Food gets lost through various means. Some through natural disasters, some through accidents, some through pests, diseases, poor storage, poor preservation. So all the losses that happen between the farm and the retail shop, we refer to them as food loss. But then once it reaches the retail shop where the consumer now buys it and goes with it to the house, the losses that happen in the hands of the consumer, we refer to those as food waste. So we are wasting food. Before, we lost food. Yes.
But how are you losing food from farm to retail? What happens? Does some fall along the way? Do we lose some mangoes? Do some potatoes go rotten? What are we talking about when we're talking about food loss exactly?
Simply means that food that now does not reach the point where the consumer can have the opportunity to buy it. So some of these get lost because there's late harvesting, or somebody has harvested them prematurely. So they will not be able to get to the market and be bought because some consumers are wise enough to notice that these are not ripe well. Some get destroyed because of pests, monkeys, rodents, destroy them in the field. Some are destroyed by natural disasters, perhaps flood, drought. Some get destroyed because of a poor storage facilities at home, in our farms. Some because of accidents. Maybe a transporting vehicle has had an accident. There's delay with the food on the road. Some start getting rotten. Some is because of packaging, transportation containers. Some of us don't use specialized containers to transport food. So you just keep them in the transportation van. Those that are below have the pressure of those that are up. They get spoiled. We go to the factory, inefficient processing methods. We lose some in the process. So there are many. These are just a few. Prof can add some.
But also one of the things we have found out in our studies is a lack of market.
Okay.
Yeah. So because like Franklin said, food loss is what happens between farm and retail. I don't know, in Kenya we have had these very depressing stories of a farmer has invested in producing tomatoes or cabbage, and then there's no market. Yeah? And then you find at the farm level, I was listening to a story of farmers who they couldn't harvest the cabbage because there's no market. Yeah? They couldn't harvest the tomatoes because there's no market. Yeah? So you see, that will be farm level losses. You can imagine a farmer who has invested so much resources and time to produce tomato. And tomato is one of the most difficult crop to produce. So when you see that the tomatoes were not harvested, we have seen scenarios where actually the farmer gave the tomatoes to cows.
To cows, yeah.
And how do you produce tomato and give it to cows? Or cabbage and give it to cows? Lack of market. Sometimes the prices are low. Yeah, there's a story of farmers, the traders wanted to pay them 1 shilling per cabbage. How do you even sell a cabbage for? So they prefer to give it to the animals because even the cost of it doesn't make sense. It's an insult to the farmer. So lack of market has been one of the challenges that we have found in studies that causes a lot of food loss. That is especially for the farmers.
So let's look at food loss, especially from the point of the farm and the entire channel before it gets to the retailer. So you need proper infrastructure, you need proper storage facilities. Farmers need to have the knowledge in terms of when to harvest and when not to harvest, how to package these things. And that would come in terms of the standards that have been set to ensure that all these boxes are ticked. You'd go to, say, the Scandinavian countries, and you'd find there are standards on the handling of food, how it is harvested, how it is transported, how it is stored. And these are things that you'd find those governments have invested in. Back home, the reason why you find even the tomatoes get destroyed is because access roads are not there. It rained, it is muddy, vehicles are stuck. So then how do we bring these conversations together with the government, the farmers, to understand the need of investing in these areas so that we avoid food loss? Because one area would be, like what Burkina Faso did, put up a tomato plant, let's crush it, let's have a puree and store them and sell them. Are these conversations that we're having to avoid food loss?
Yes, I think the first point is to be able to recognize these gaps and to design interventions that would work within our local context. So government has its part to play, especially when it comes to infrastructure, better roads. In NGOs may have specific interest, but may range from awareness creation, capacity building, and even trying to stimulate certain industries to pick up these business opportunities that will save food from getting lost and waste. But the point is that we have to recognize first that these are challenges that we have, and we have to design appropriate interventions. Government to take its part. Some things may only be done by governments, policies, infrastructure, too heavy roads, and no NGO will do that. So once we recognize this and lay it up down, we can find specific partners or organizations or government to take which part. Areas will require collaboration. Yes, some areas.
Okay. Well, can we stay on food loss for a minute? We'll get to food waste, which is, from what we understand, that from a retail perspective, that what we eat in our homes and all of that, that's now when we look into food waste. But food loss, for me, is not a 2025 issue. Food, that's, I mean, for goodness sake, there's a whole international day dedicated to this thing, right? So that means it's been around for a while.
Sure.
Right? We've talked about food loss forever. That we can't get food from farm to market because of transportation issues, poor road network, etc., etc. But we know this. We've known it.
Yes.
It's been there. We talk about it every year. That we say we're losing, people are feeding tomatoes to cows, or that we are pouring, we are pouring milk into farms, or that we have maize that it sits and then it goes rotten because there's a glut in the market. It's bizarre to me.
It is.
And that these interventions that we keep talking about and say we must have interventions, people must come together, they must collaborate, governments must do 1, 2, 3. But why are we still saying that they must? Why isn't it happening right now? The food loss, and I don't know what the percentages are, maybe Professor Mbuku, maybe we can talk about the numbers that we're seeing in terms of how much food is actually lost from farm to market because of these issues. Maybe if we heard those numbers, then it would spur us on into saying perhaps something needs to happen. What are we looking at?
So first of all, the numbers. Again, there's a challenge there because nobody's looking for... Data is an expensive business. So currently the data that we're quoting is actually data, a bit of it is outdated. But as of now, we are quoting the FAO studies of 2023, where we're talking about, like Franklin saying, food loss, which is between harvest and retail. We are quoting it at 13%. So 13% of the food that is produced goes to waste. That is between harvest and retail. And then from retail to the household, which is what we categorize as food waste, we're talking about 19%. So not that fact that there's more food waste than food loss. And remember, food waste, Franklin forgot to say, some of it is avoidable.
Yes.
Most of it is avoidable. In fact, according to the UNEP report of, I think, 2021, 60% of the food waste happens in your house. Yes? So, as we talk like this, as you've asked, the numbers, because people now are talking about data-guided action. Yes, evidence-based policies, right? So we say currently the data, remember the data I've just quoted are estimates, yeah? So sometimes it's hard to convince government, whether it's county or national, to invest in food loss and waste, which is a serious problem. Remember, 19% or 13%, if you put that in numbers, in terms of, for example, Kenya, what does it mean for our GDP, for example? I know some people have done that estimate. What does it mean for, so when we lose, we import food. Does it surprise you that Kenya has to import maize to plug a deficit? Are we not able to produce? It shocks you sometimes we're even importing mangoes, tomatoes. Why are we doing that? Yet we produce. So the thing is, like you've asked, evidence to show that this is a problem. It is a social problem. Yes, it is an economic problem. It is an environmental problem. Data again from UNEP shows that food waste alone, contributes 10 to 12% of our greenhouse gases, which is a contributor to climate change and all that. But you see, these are estimates. So for us, one of the things that we are working towards is generating evidence that can then stimulate action, investment towards, because when you put it in numbers, yes, in numbers, if I told you, for example, that every Kenyan loses 99 kilos of food every year, you alone, can you put that in numbers, in terms of money? So for the thing we're trying to get to is, can we translate food loss and waste into numbers that make sense to policy action? Whether it is, if I'm going to convince those who are doing climate action and say, hey, food loss and waste contributes 10% of the greenhouse gases. Can we invest in food waste reduction?
Donald Trump told us that.
Something like that.
Donald Trump told us the other day that
there's no
climate change is a con. So, now the world might be shifting away from that.
When you talk about numbers, I've just done something real quick. I've just looked at how much potatoes we produced in 2025, and it's at 1.35 tons. So when you talk about 19% of that, that is 256,500 tons that is lost.
Okay, so this is the conundrum, and I'm to understand that we're still operating in a country where we're told, because this is not a hunger conversation.
No.
This is a food loss and waste conversation. But we're still told that within the same boundaries of this country that there's hunger to some alarming rates. That we're still soon, the short rains are coming, they're on their way, and maybe here in some parts already in the country. But then after that will come a drought. And then we will be told that there's no food, and that 23 out of the 47 counties are on the brink of starvation because of the terrible drought. We're going to be told, we can almost predict that is what is going to happen, because weather patterns have shown us that that's just how the cycle is. Extreme weather followed by another extreme weather pattern. How is it possible that you can throw away milk? So we're not thinking about, by now, these collaborations and people coming together, we should now have large-scale dehydrators for milk. So that you have powdered milk, because Kenya is a huge producer of milk. You have powdered milk so that when there is famine or when there is drought, you can take care of that. We should be able to desiccate maize and have it in dry form. We should be able to dry potatoes and vegetables and keep them in dry form at a national scale to feed the nation when there is hunger. I don't understand how we're able to operate in such a paradox when there is excess and such loss. 99 kilograms times 55 million people is a hell of a lot of food. And then now we are saying people are hungry. It blows my mind. I don't understand. Why are we keep reporting, but why are we not doing? What's the problem, really?
I think that is one of the reasons why this day was established. 2019 is just a few years back. So we see these things happening, but for you now to be able to zoom in and stimulate action, you need now to start talking more about these things. So this is one step in that direction. So, for example, our project with the various partners that we're working with, For example, PHRC, WISE, we have University of Nairobi, RETRAC, Food and Land Use Coalition, County Government of Kisumu, Kisumu City, Food Bank in Kenya, World Resources Institute, KIA, and our university used. By creating this awareness action, we are looking at the point where we can have this conversation driven down. People lose waste. I don't think somebody sits down that I want to throw food. It is an unconscious thing that happens.
No, people are throwing food away. People are throwing milk into the street.
But they didn't plan
People
to
are
throw it.
giving tomatoes to cows.
Not by design, not by choice.
But they're hungry people.
Yes. So
I don't understand.
What we're trying to do is that though many people are not intentional in preserving food, by that lack of intentionality, they find food going to waste. So by being intentional, we'll be able to reduce some of this food. So by this awareness creation and creating this as an issue that needs to be focused on, we are already making the first step to resolving these problems. Rather than just sitting and we see it, it has been there for long.
Yes.
But we have never zoomed into it.
Yeah.
So, but isn't that the problem, Prof?
Yeah, okay.
That we've been looking and talking about this problem. We've been looking at the problem, waste 2019, 2020, waste 2021, waste.
Even before
that. I'm just going to 2019 so you don't feel so bad. Then now we come to 2022, 2023, 2024, and we're still saying waste. All of the organizations that we speak about who are working in collaboration, now we're just talking about it. How about some pressure that would actually have some things done?
Yes, that's why, remember, that's why I said the only way to pressure, we need to talk numbers, like real numbers. When I go to county government of Kisumu and tell them this is how big your problem is, contributing to the waste organic waste that you have to deal with, most of it is from food. So we need to translate that to numbers so that as we look at action towards food loss and waste, we're talking numbers, right? And that's what we're doing in Kisumu. So he forgot to mention that you said that food is going to waste while people who need it are suffering. Now, there's in the hierarchy of food waste reduction, there's something we call food distribution. So we say food that was meant for human consumption must be consumed by human. Anything else is waste, right? So we say, first of all, we need to prevent food loss and waste by doing things like you're saying, like when there's excess, turning the perishable like milk, tomatoes into what we call shelf-stable products, which can be used later, right? That is one. That is what we call prevention. But then where we have a situation where we have excess food, like you said, the milk, the tomatoes, the cabbage, we talk about food distribution, which is what one of the partners in this project called Food Bank is doing. We are doing a pilot in Kisumu to show what can be done. So that food that would otherwise go to waste in the markets in Kisumu can actually be rescued. Yeah? And that's what Food Bank is doing. Rescued, and they're rescuing from the market and feeding children.
Okay.
So you see, that is so the long-term goal is to show the impact of that intervention, because that's an intervention to reduce waste, so that others can actually see its action. If you're talking about, like the cabbage I talked about in Meru, it was going to waste. If there was a system to rescue that cabbage and feed it to people that need it, so we need systems that work, where we can see where there's surplus that would otherwise go to waste, have mechanisms to rescue it, and then, make it available to people. Because like you do the way you said, it is traumatic to see children, it is always on the news. Children, like they are boiling some herbs to eat.
Stone.
Yet in the same country, cabbages have been left in the market, or tomatoes are being fed to cows. So it's just making the system, the agri-food sector work, so that we know where there's surplus, where there's a need, and if people are doing that, like food banking is doing that, you see, we need a system that will support that action.
I'm thinking, sorry, and I just want to give this example because it's in my head at the moment, because sometimes when we think about that, that's when maybe one spurs us on and we put the information out there. Italy is a strip of geography in Western Europe. They have tomatoes all over the place. in excess. They don't even have to plant them. They just sprout out of the ground. They realized this and they said, you know what? Can this thing? Because we can eat it, we can use it for our cuisine, but then it's in excess. So they make paste and it's on Kenyan shelves. Italian tomatoes in cans, in paste, in tubes, in sachet, is on Kenyan shelves in the supermarkets. You see this thing we call sauerkraut. It's fermented cabbage. That's what the Germans have done with their cabbage because it doesn't spoil. You ferment the thing and you can eat it for the year. My point is there is something we can do, definitely, but it appears that we're just not doing it, and it's like we are waiting for some big bell in the sky to be clanged before then we say, okay, can we? You know, because it is traumatic, Prof. The words that you use, that's what it is. That we actually have options of what we can do. Sure. But there's something, and we think that's what we're trying to have this conversation about, that what is that thing that's then stopping us from doing it? It's not for lack of food that Kenyans are hungry.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Like I said, I mean, for us, you see, just what you have painted, we know we have the solutions. Yeah? Like transforming the cabbage, the tomato into forms. It's not like we do not, it's not even an Italian thing. We know, I come from...
We used to do it as Africa. We would sun-dry our meat.
Exactly.
Fish would hang for months. It's dried. We can
meat
eat it.
and
when
all
the
that.
meat is dried, we can eat it. Potatoes are sliced and dried on rooftops. We have the methods. We don't do it.
So we have the traditional methods. We have now the improved methods. We do. So the thing, like you say, is just letting people, and this is part of why we have this conversation, that there's something that can be done. These are the solutions. But you see, these solutions have to be, targeted. Yes? You have to know, for example, if we are wasting tomatoes in, which is the largest tomato producing county in Kenya? There's Embu, there's also Kajiado, yeah? So what are the drivers of tomato wastage in Kajiado, for example, or Embu? And what are the solutions? Okay, so that is why we're talking. We've been doing one project with one of the partners here. It's called World Resources Institute. We started off with the mango value chain. We want to understand what are the drivers of wastage. What are the context appropriate interventions? Like you said, for example, if I go to Kilifi, we might just need to dry the mangoes.
Yes,
and then find market for dried mangoes. Yeah, and Kenyans don't like dried mangoes. They haven't developed a taste for it. You know, we actually dry mangoes for export.
Yes.
But we need to also ensure that we have dried vegetables too. When it rains, there will be excess leafy vegetables. You know, one of the easiest ways to preserve those vegetables is to just solar dry them. But how many of us go to the supermarket to buy dried kales? Or dried manago? Have you?
Because you imagine, I do. Because I'm from a culture whereby we dry like things like bitter leaf or our local vegetables because you can use them when they're not in season.
You see? Yeah.
These are the traditional speak that we talk about.
Exactly.
But we'd have not developed in our minds that it's something that you can do for later.
Exactly.
And perhaps that's what we need to do. Develop it amongst people as an idea that can come to existence later.
Yeah. So you see, drying of vegetables, fruits or whatever, these perishable products is a very easy, effective way to actually reduce wastage when there's excess. So we dry veggies, we export. We also need to dry and let Kenyans also know that, you know, dry tomato is just as good as the fresh one. It's just that it's dehydrated, you know. So we have those solutions. So there are many interventions, knowing the technologies to dry them properly to preserve the nutrients, but also raising awareness among consumers to actually be able to, you know, they can utilize these dried products. They're as good as the fresh ones. They're just dehydrated. So there's a lot of interventions there's awareness creation about, you know, these products, but also the solutions. So that's part of the work that we're trying to do, promote, you know, those solar drying options, you know, and also raising awareness to consumers about dried food being nutritious, just that it's dehydrated. Yeah.
What I did indicate now, this need for capacity building also, and availance of these technologies like solar dryers. Most people perhaps are afraid to dry their tomatoes because they don't have that technology. They have the sun, but they don't want it to also be contaminated by dust, flies. There are solar dryers. They should be made available easily. So they need to be this capacity building on these various methods: canning, solar drying, drying of vegetables, and know how to do it. And then we make it easy for the common man, for the common mwananchi to do it at home.
Yeah, even also cold storage, again, is one of the things you see at the market. If you walked in some of our markets, do you know the small scale traders? You see, at the end of the day, this produce that is left, you ask yourself, where does that produce go? Most of it is collected and thrown.
In fact, they leave them. Some of them just leave
it
on the streets.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense to carry it back home. Yeah. So one of the things one of the projects that is being implemented in Kisumu is installation of a cold room at the market. You see, that is very targeted. So we are working with the APHRC under this project that is led by Franklin and Just to see if we installed a cold room at a market. We started off with a fish market.
Yes.
Yeah. Would that help to reduce wastage in fish at the market? We've also tried to do that in another market. There's a project that we started off with under USAID, but it under Travel Desire. We had actually introduced a market at a cold room at a market, a vegetable fruits market. The idea is, at the end of a trading day, what is not sold, can it be kept and be, retrieved for sale tomorrow? Because for now, without cold room at the market and given the small scale operation of our traders, there's a lot of wastage at the market.
So that stuff is being thrown away?
Yeah, most of it, you imagine a trader who has just brought a gunia of kales and they sold half of it. Are they going to carry it home? Tomorrow it will be wilted and yellow. They can't sell. So the most rational thing for a trader to do is to leave it there, to be collected as waste.
And see, when you talk about the cold storage that you talk about, there is the new pier that was launched recently by President William Ruto in Homa Bay County. And I remember a few years ago, I visited that same fish market, and fish was being thrown away because it's not been sold. So the fishermen will still come in the morning with fresh fish and we will sell that. Whatever remains, we throw it away, or you take it home and give it out. But as we speak right now, over 2,000 people show up because there are cold storage. There is proper pipeline on how that fish is being sold. But as we talk about access to markets as well, in assuring farmers that once you harvest, there is where this product will end. So farmers don't have to worry where my product will go. I will harvest because I know there is a direct pipeline on where this food will end. These are conversations that we should be having, that we should be discussing on a daily basis, but unfortunately they are just talks. For a very long time we've just been talking and not walking the talk. So then how do we change the mindset of duty bearers together with farmers and even us consumers to understand the importance of jumping on this conversation to save that which we have and to ensure that what you're talking about is being implemented? Because we'll talk all we want.
Yes. I would first indicate that at the household level, there are many things a household can do. I think it is UNEP report that reports that 60% of food gets wasted at the household level. Of course, this may vary from city to city. But at that household level, there is a lot that we can do as households to save food. That will drive in the sense of agency to conserve this food. Others, we might need more capital. But what I want to emphasize is that as a personal, individual level, that realization must occur, that losing food is losing money, and we cannot afford to lose food. We need to be intentional in preventing it. We need to be intentional in rescuing that food. And then if that awakening is there amongst us, perhaps it will be easier now to consolidate partners, consolidate resources, and achieve more to rescue this food. It is sad that at the moment there is only much talk. But we need to move to action, and we as AfriFood Links, through the various partners that I've mentioned, we already doing that action on the ground in Kisumu, so that it can be seen that it can be done. And it can be replicated elsewhere.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you give us a few more examples about, because also we speak to policy, we speak to power, but then oftentimes we don't speak to ourselves.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that we are doing, maybe in more detail at home, that's contributing to waste? Because we've talked about loss quite some. What is contributing to food waste at home?
Yeah. So at home, I mean, like Franklin has quoted, and I've quoted before, that is a study has been done that each one of us loses 99 kilos per capita per year. So at home, and this is something that we said, even as government does the big things you have just mentioned, at individual level, how we plan our meals. We all, I can see all of us come from traditional home setup where you just cook food. You don't kind of know how many people you're cooking for. In where I come from, it's like you don't measure food. If it's ugali, you just look at the people and and you put water in the pan and it is, as long as there's flour, it's not easy. You just look at it, is the size of the sufuria that should limit the amount of the ugali you cook. It's not
ask how hungry they are.
You don't ask how hungry they are or something like that, So measuring is not our thing, but we must start planning our meals, isn't it? We must start planning our meals, know how many people you're cooking for, so that there isn't waste. I mean, you cook ugali, only half of it is eaten, and some people justify, the half will be eaten by chicken and all that. Okay, fine, it is a better use than the landfill, but did you cook ugali for chicken? No. So we must start planning our meals to ensure that there's little waste at the end of a survey. That is first and foremost, because people don't plan their shopping. You go shop. Sometimes, this is ladies guilty, me guilty as charged. You get into the supermarket and you buy things, then you keep them, and then you start later on and start looking, this is about to expire, or it's expired. You shopped, you have the luxury to waste. Many people may not have, So you shop, you didn't plan, and then sometime at the end of the month you start removing what is about to expire and throw. So that means you don't plan your shopping. The other thing we can do in our household, even that ugali or that rice that was left from yesterday's meal, there's a way you can transform it into another meal. So there are recipes that have been developed how to I don't know, Dennis, if you've ever eaten ugali nachos.
Ugali nachos, actually nice.
You have, So you see, people need to know that you can actually do something with before you give it to the chicken.
In fact,
there's something you can do with the ugali, come out with something tasty.
Chips.
Ugali balls. Last year we were told how you can make ugali balls with cheese inside, and then you fry it, and then it becomes a very tasty snack. Fried rice, you get your leftover rice,
toss it with some vegetables.
So those are some ways of reducing wastage at the household. And you see, those are not complicated things. It's not rocket science.
And you didn't go buy anything else.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's part of the awareness. Because we need, in fact, this is the thing we keep on saying, as a consumer, as an individual, I can set my own target for reducing my 99 kilos. Can I set a target for me, Jane, to say, I'm going to reduce my 99 kilos. Yes. I'm not going to serve more food than I need. I'm going to be checking my waste bin in the house to see there's nothing that should be there that shouldn't be there. If I can donate to a neighbor or something like that, because if you have a good relationship with the neighbor, it doesn't harm. You cooked excess chapatis, give the askari instead of things that are simple actions at individual level that can actually contribute to waste reduction at the household at individual level.
And even while we talk about that, you realize most of Kenyan households, we just cook so we can eat. We never think of the kind of nutrition that we need in terms of the portion that we're supposed to have. How does my plate look like? Is it more green? Is it so white? How does it look like? Is it appealing to the eye? nutritionist will tell you the more colorful it is, the better.
You have all the colors of the rainbow.
Yes, But then again, at these conversations we have in terms of daktari, that in our households we understand nutrition, the portions that you're supposed to have, because once I understand the portions, I will cook according to my needs and not do excess. Because most of the time, I've been guilty of that. You go to a supermarket, you buy full chicken, you get home, you dice them, you cook an entire chicken, and you're just 2 people in the house. Before you realize, you're overwhelmed by all this chicken that you're forced to, you'll give it out to someone else, right? Or throw it. But if one understood the portions that you need, if you buy full chicken, perhaps when you're dicing it, you dice it to the portions so that when you cook it, you cook only what you need. Or you cook the entire thing and store it for a future date. And these conversations that we're having,
we need to have them more often. I often see people, they serve and the motive or the thought in their mind is, if this food is sweet, I should serve more. Your stomach is virtually the same. There is a limit to expansion of your stomach. So people serve more food because it's sweet, and then they end up not being able to complete. So they estimate what their stomach can accommodate by the fact that the food is sweet. But by this time, I remember when I was young, my mom had taught us how to cook and even how to portion what we need to eat, and we grew up with that. So I think at this point, at the home level, we should know how much we eat and ration or portion our food according to our needs. And if in case we cook excess, we can resort to keeping the rest, preserving them for later use, rather than throwing. Some people just throw because they can afford. I think it's not a good practice from a stewardship point of view, even from a moral sense of view. In urban areas, the environmental burden of food waste is greater than in the rural areas. We have many families that dispose of food in this manner. In urban areas, not most of us keep livestock. So it's not like in the village that you say, this food, now that it's gone bad, I can give it to my chicken or to my dog, to my cat. In urban areas, you'll throw this in the dustbin, which will end up in the dump site, which will be now an environmental burden in our urban areas. So the footprint of food loss and waste in urban areas is bound to be heavier or more greater than it would be in the rural areas. So by being proactive in reducing food waste and loss, then we also remit that environmental impact.
Are people having the conversations, not people in boardrooms or offices? Are people actually having these conversations? Because I mean, I think I'm going to end this. We will, as we come to the end of the conversation, I'll still be conflicted that we can have 2 extreme conditions in the same country, and are we not looking at the minority of the population as those who are wasting food? Because it would seem as though the majority of the population are those who are on the short end of the stick, who don't have it to waste in the first place.
It's true, yeah. So that is right. I mean, that's why I said some of us, they're called the middle class, and the other, they have the luxury to waste food. I mean, it doesn't pain you to toss that whatever. You bought a lot of tomatoes and pick some like they're rotting and throw them. You see, you have the luxury of wasting. But see, we need to have this conversation where we say that even if you have the luxury of wasting, it affects all of us. Because that food you're tossing ends up in the landfills. And you say that food waste contributes to greenhouse gases. I know, forget what the other stories, but let us, the majority are converted, that we are having climate change. And so that food that you toss ends up in the landfill, contributes to the greenhouse gases. So ultimately it still affects all of us. So action is collective. While you have the luxury to waste, the impact affects all of us. So we must all do, our part. Okay, so that's why we say, even though I forgot to mention the figures. Globally, more than 800 million people are hungry. That is the global figure. In Kenya, more than 5 million people are hungry. Yeah. So while at the same time, like you said, we are throwing away food. So it's a moral issue that we should all tackle. I can quote what the late Pope Francis say, that the moment you toss food, you literally take it away from the plate of the poor. That's a very popular statement that was made by Pope Francis about food loss and waste, that when you're throwing the food in your dustbin, remember, you're literally taking it away from the plate of the poor. So that is a moral issue. Food is a moral issue. So like you said, even if you have the luxury of wasting, you also have a moral obligation to actually do something better about it. Like you said, if you have food in the house that you think it might be going to waste, or you're a farmer and you have excess, there's now a system which we are developing. I think we have now come up, the guidelines we're developing for food redistribution, because we didn't have that to do. Now I think the process is being led by the RETRAC, which is one of our partners, to come up with guidelines to help redistribute, because we need an incentive and sanction. Yeah, so that when a supermarket like say Naivas has excess, have you seen sometimes they have their daily, sometimes at the end of the day there could be some excess food, they would love to donate, but there are liabilities to donation. So we have recently been working on guidelines
like what? Liabilities, because
somebody might take that food and not transport it properly, say, and then he reaches home and they get food poison, and they say it is the food I got from the deli at Naivas or from some restaurant. So most of these establishments are afraid to donate food because of those liabilities. But now RETRAC, supported by APHRC and other partners, have come up with guidelines which will help in food redistribution. So Naivas can now donate excess food and not be burned, because if somebody doesn't use the food donated properly, it now becomes liabilities not on Naivas. So those are some of the structures that need to be put in place to help people. Like you said, it is a paradox that in a country where 5 million are without food, 30% of the food is going to waste. So that is what we need to do. Systems, guidelines, policies that will enhance food redistribution, reduce food loss and waste, and have a positive a contribution and we know food and nutrition security.
And we know that some of these things are possible. Even as we come to a closing remark, we know that there's a girl who, maybe she's a young lady now, but she set up a factory and all she does is collect the mangoes that fall to the ground during mango season in Baringo and Ukambani. That's all she does. She's not asking for the stuff that's coming off the tree that you're going to sell. She's waiting for what's going to fall to the ground. She's waiting for what's going to fall off the truck. And she's drying mango and she's using the pulp and she's making juice. She is doing this. Nice. So if she can do it, governments can.
Governments can, sure,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add that in our social media messages, we are trying to pass across that, tell somebody about food loss and waste and tell them how they can contribute to its reduction. And then we're asking, what are you doing to reduce your food loss and waste footprint? It's a collective action. You and I must do something.
And one of the things we just to add what he's saying, we call ourselves the food waste pests. When you sit in a buffet, do not allow your neighbor who served themselves to leave food on the plate. Right?
Aseto, finish your food.
Yes, because you served it yourself, so you don't get to leave it on the plate. So you don't, like Franklin say, you don't use your mind to serve. And I'll say it looks sweet, so I'm gonna heap on the plate, and then you're going to leave it. So we have said that one of the individual, apart from yourself reducing your individual waste, when you are with people, especially on buffet, do not allow people to waste food that they served themselves. You they need to finish, because nobody served you. You served yourself.
Indeed.
So that is individual action.
Sweetness of food stops at the tongue. The stomach does not know that the food is sweet or not.
We've had a conversation around food and food loss and waste coming up to the International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, which is on the 29th of September. Not today. It's on the 29th, which is next
Monday.
week, but it's Monday.
Yes.
But we're taking a lot of these things into consideration as a run-up to the activities for the day. But beyond that, to be very aware of what happens in our world and in the spaces in which we operate in. And we're hoping that the next time we have a conversation like this, this is what has been done and established, and not just what we're looking at. Professor Jane Ambuko is a horticulturalist and a post-harvest specialist, University of Nairobi, joined by Dr. Franklin Otiende-Awor, who's a senior lecturer at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology and Research Afri-Food Links Project as well. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Good morning at 8:01.
Okay.
102.5 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has arrested a suspected human trafficking mastermind accused of luring Kenyans to Russia under the guise of lucrative job offers, only for them to end up in the Russian military and deployed to the front line in the war in Ukraine. Edward Kamau Gituku was apprehended on Wednesday after detectives from the DCI's Transnational Organized Crime Unit, backed by other security agencies, raided Great Wall Apartments in Athi River, where 21 Kenyans were found being processed for travel to Russia. According to investigators, the victims were scheduled to depart on different dates in September and October for employment. Authorities say the breakthrough followed months of coordinated surveillance after reports that Kenyans were paying between 1.7 million shillings and 2.3 million shillings for visas, travel and accommodation, only to be conscripted into the conflict. Kenya Aviation Workers Union has maintained its position in regards to the strike notice issued on Tuesday after failed talks with the Kenya Airports Authority. The union issued a 7-day strike notice demanding the resignation of the Kenya Airports Authority board over incompetence and failure to confirm contract staff. The union maintained that workers have lost faith in the board and are now witnessing systemic inefficiencies and incompetence. His Union Secretary General Moses Ndiema speaking to reporters at the JKIA on Thursday.
That you have a board that occasions vacancies within management for purposes of, appeasing and rewarding their kinsmen, their girlfriends here and there, or they sell it to the highest bidder. We will not allow that because it compromises professionalism. It compromises competence. We will not allow it.
The Kenya Land Alliance has raised concerns over the affordable housing project, warning that Kenyans may not legally own the units since the houses are being built on public land without converting it to private ownership. Speaking in Malindi, KLA Director Faith Alube said the project faces legal uncertainties that could create future disputes.
Kwa nini affordable housing ikuwe ushuru na si contribution towards owning the house? Sasa ni ushuru, kwa hivyo inatengenezewa na public money kwa public land, alafu private citizens wanatakana wanunue. Na wakinunua, iko wapi hiyo process ya kuconvert easy public land into private land? Ndio waweze kusema umepata title. Hii maneno yote ni kama iko kwa hewa. Hatuna policy architecture ya kusupport hii process, na pia hakukuwa na public participation. Mbeleni kunaweza kuwa na utata kama yenye ilifanyika Mukuru kwa Njenga.
Grief and shock engulfs Samutet village in Ainamoi constituency, Kericho County, after a 19-year-old man went on a violent rampage, hacking to death 3 close relatives before being lynched by angry villagers. Kericho County Police Commander James Ngetich confirmed Thursday's tragic incident, identifying the victims as the suspect's 70-year-old aunt, his 28-year-old sister-in-law, and a 3-year-old nephew. The police boss added that officers were already pursuing the suspect before the killings and now piecing together events that led through the bloodbath. According to eyewitnesses, the suspect struck suddenly, first killing his mother and young nephew before moving to another homestead where he hacked a female relative to death.
Aliingia tu kwa nyumba yake ndio akashika akakonga kichwa na panga.
Vile huyu mama wa hapa alisikia nduru, huyu mama akakimbia kumuokoa yeye shemeji wake, lakini huyu Kiprono alikuwa mchanja, akafuata hadi akaua, sababu huyu alikuwa mshahidi mkubwa, akaua pia yeye. Kuna mtoto pia ameuawa ama alikongwa, lakini nasikia saa hii pia amepoteza maisha yake.
Hiyo kijana luwa hiyo watu tena ile kaa chini huko watu ya kijiji ndio napata hasira ndio naua yeye.
In the UK, Sir Keir Starmer has publicly acknowledged where some on the left went wrong on immigration, writing in the Telegraph that his party needs to tackle every aspect of the problem. He said that Labour was being forced to counter the rise of the populist right, noting that the increasing popularity of Reform UK posed a challenge for both the Conservatives and the left. The Prime Minister is expected to announce plans for a compulsory UK-wide digital ID scheme in a speech late on Friday as part of the Labour Party's push to address illegal immigration. His government has been under increasing pressure to tackle the issue after small boat migrant crossings surpassed 50,000 in August. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.9 Spice FM, Mombasa.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we may find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, stagi kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A very good morning. 10 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we continue with Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. This morning, Mr. Dennis Aseto and Ndu with you this morning as we continue these conversations. We're now taking a look at the week in review, and obviously with a political move, with things that have been happening over the last few days, and also what is likely to happen today. And we're going to do that having a discussion around the youth perspective. And two gentlemen will be with us in the studio. Asab Chariot is a lawyer. He'll be with us in a short while. And Kamau Ambiu is here this morning. He's the chair of the National Youth Caucus and is in the room this morning. Kamau, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. It's been a long time since you've been in the seat.
Yeah.
But let's look at a number of issues and then what they portend for the political landscape in the country at the moment. And you'll be joined by Wakili in a minute. But before that happens, let's have Dennis tell you what our proverb is for today.
Yeah, so our proverb of the day comes from Ivory Coast, and a country known for its cocoa, rubber, and also its athletes. But the proverb today is the chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. How would you interpret that?
The chameleon looks
in front
and behind when walking. Before walking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a vase where it's going and where it has come from. Mm-hmm. So, because according to me, a chameleon is like a tortoise. Mm-hmm. So it looks where it has come from, and it gets motivated to continue moving forward. And also, by the high antenna of a chameleon, it tends to look in front and behind, try to survey and to see who or just to keep its antenna alert on what is coming. Yes,
that's a different way of looking at it.
Indeed,
you just look at where you metoka nimbali, so I can still
keep going.
Yes.
I'm not dead yet, so we can continue. All right, okay. Come out. What the National Youth Caucus? What is this?
National Youth Caucus is a group of national youth leaders. We are leaders from each and every constituency. We are represented. We have leaders, the young leaders from each and every constituency. A caucus is like a parliament where we have groups per week, a meeting per week, or that is on Zoom. We speak and talk and deliberate on the way forward as young leaders, and how are we going to continue fighting for space in the national politics, in the political parties. How are we going to be engaged in the conversations that are happening nationally in the counties, wherever we are represented. Yes.
When you say young leaders, can you expound on that?
These are leaders who have prospects of leading the country in specific seats, that is elective positions appointed, but the ones that even in the community we come together and discuss what are we going to do as young leaders, how are we going to work together, so that we form one synergy, so that we can, even when we're intermarrying with the other parties and the other political class, we have oneness. Yes.
How does one get into the caucus? Do I just wake up today and say, as a Aseto, I feel like I'm a leader, I want to get in? Or is there a sieving process? Is there an interview? Do you get voted for you to be in this caucus? How does it happen?
No, I started this caucus. I'm the chair and I'm the founder. I started this group when we were having the Gen Z protests. So, and having been a leader, even in the last election, having vied, even in the last election, I thought that there are so many young people who are leaders, but they don't know how to get into these political spaces. They don't know how and when to get in, and there is no when. You just
do it. So when the idea came to me, it's a registered CBO. I started with Kiambu County, because that is my county. Started by collecting leaders from each and every sub-county, one leader, two, and then one collects another, and then we grew. We grew. After I did a few interviews, the movement grew, and we had now leaders from Busia come in. And then I thought, why not now expand it so that we can continue with the talk. How do you join? We're there. We have our pages. We have our platforms. You can come in. If you're a leader and you feel you really have a calling as a leader, because leadership is not just leadership. Leadership is a calling. It's a purpose. It's in you. Yes.
Okay. So, as we, if you want to be a leader, or if you are a leader, that's how then you become a member of the caucus. What activities then are they engaged in that would then push them towards positions where they can, run in an election? We're doing this as we get towards a review of what's been happening in the week, so we can understand, where we are.
So what activities we do, I bring in people to educate the young leaders on the constitution, the matters that we should be engaging in. And this is really to motivate the young leaders to partake of what is ours. We have been told time and again that we are the leaders of tomorrow, but we are the leaders of today. Now, once we are motivated, once we are trained, once we are given the skills of being a leader, we are taught. I bring people to come and teach us governance, leadership, the skills in leadership, how a leader is supposed to talk, how a leader is supposed, to dress, how he's supposed to address such. And then now from there we tell them and encourage them, now look for spaces in the political space where you can fit in, parties that fit in with your political ideology. Like myself, I'm a member of one political party, that is Wiper, Patriotic Front. You look for a political party that fits your ideology, a political party that drives drives the motive that you've been pushing. And then now that is how you partake. You partake of the leadership. We teach these young leaders that politics of this country is not just politics. You just have to study how the politics have been, where the politics will be, and now you look the space with which you're going to take off with. Yeah.
So how does the politics look like from your perspective at the moment in Kenya, taking into consideration that over the last 7 days, quite a number of things have happened, whether there's going to be realignments of folks who will be running for office, whether people have left one party and moved to the other. Your party leader said this week that absolutely not, don't expect me to move anywhere and not for anybody. We're also seeing that another party today has an NDC and the likelihood have NDCs today, and the likelihood of some announcements coming out as a result of that will be made public. So what's your perspective on how things are happening in the country at the moment from that leadership incubation point of view?
Basically, we've not been doing so good as a country in terms of politics and governance and leadership and delivery. How the government delivers its mandates and programs to the people. We've not been doing so good. We've been politicizing. The government has been politicizing everything. But according to me, so in the past few weeks, we've not been going so good. I heard that yesterday a delegation from IMF came in here. That is from 25th yesterday to 9th of October. They're coming to study or to renew a new formula of how they're going to give us a loan, or how they're going to support the government to deliver, some projects, to give us money so that we can push on some agendas that are going to help with our development. Because right now there's no development that is happening, but at the same time the president and his administration have been dishing out money at State House, have been dishing out money at economic empowerments, just giving money that is unaccounted for, money that is not audited for. It is not right. And that is why, one, the government is not delivering on its end. On this other end of the politics that the opposition is carrying on, we're just taking realignment and planning, and that is why I told you, that is what we have been telling these young leaders, that there is how the politics of this land is taken. Is approached, and that is why the opposition parties, that is Wiper, PLP, DAPK, DCP, they are arranging their houses. They're keeping their houses in order. That is why we have PLP having an NDC today. We have Jubilee having an NDC today. We will have Wiper having an NDC. I saw there's a gazette notice from the Secretary General of Wiper. There will be an NDC on 10th of October. And so forth and so forth. These parties, they are, they are organizing themselves for the forthcoming election and how they're going to take over the government. So according to me, it's good. It's a democratic country. It's a democratic space. We move forward. And for us to be able to send this government home, we have to belong first. And then now, we have to be organized. We have to be united. And unity, that is key. And now from there, we will be able to take these people home, because the president is also not a small boy.
As you talk about the realignment and planning for the next election that is taking place, one would ask the question, if you look at where we are, the biggest opposition, one would argue, has been from Kenyans, and one would say the Gen Z movement that rocked the country to 2024, 2025. And as realignments are happening, are we seeing the issues that were raised at the time being picked up as forming conversations moving forward? And are the youth as well being given an opportunity to voice themselves, to have a seat at the table, and equally play an important role as we approach the 2027 elections? And finally, as there is talk on sending this government home, are we voting out the government, or do we know what you're voting for? Or do we just want the government out?
I think with the voice of the young people being heard, and the young people having a seat at the table, I think we have been having that, because one, we have to understand this thing, politics of this land is really different, and is politics anywhere. The Gen Zs went to the streets, and they were asking and advocating for good governance, equitable share, the normal things. They were asking, they were demanding for their rights. Now, that is one. Demanding is one. Number two, it is given or it is given out and it is delivered through now the political side. Now we have to belong, and we have to ensure that we have what it takes to partake in the politics of the land. And politics is a way different thing. And the politics happen, and then elections happen, and then now the governance part happen. You get? That is why we have been having those demonstrations. Now, whoever we've been demonstrating to, they are not listening. So it is our time. Let us sit down. Let us get into the political space. Now get those seats. Get those positions, so that now we can deliver, we can be the change we wanted to see.
Okay.
Yes.
But you do believe that in order to do that, then folks have to be members of political parties.
Yes.
That if they're young people or younger people or people who've not been in the political arena before, and that they have something to offer, from what you're saying, that you have to be part of a present existing political party in order to then get in.
That is true. Or you can either be an independent person, which is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you can be a member of a political party. We have briefcase political parties, just belonging.
Mm-hmm.
A political party that is not that is not strong. And you can belong to a political party that has been an agent of change, that have idealistic ideas on how to change the country, that is pushing forward, a political party that has base at the ground, a political party that is going to help you get what you want. So it is good to belong, because politics, politics and belonging or scooping a seat, a position, you have to belong. Elections is a whole new different level. That is a whole new different unit. Once you get, you have to draw a plan on how you're going to be elected, what political seat you want, how you're going to be elected, which political party, which is like a bus, which is going to take you there. And this political party has to be in line with your ideology. And then now from there, once you're elected and you get in those positions, now you become the agent of change that you wanted to see.
Okay.
Yes.
There's often the argument that when folks get into the system, they somehow change. Is there a threat of that?
According to me, it's a question of character. Yes. So if you study myself, what I have been doing since I was born, which school I went to, what was my character in that school, my primary school, my high school, campus life, now I'm in the corporate, how I've been behaving all through. You'll be able to predict what kind of a person I will be.
Mm-hmm.
You will be able to predict what kind of a person I'll be from when I started now, earning some coin, now growing, now I'm in that position. Now, number two, it is a question also of why. And that's why I told you, leadership is a calling.
Mm-hmm.
If you just want to be elected because you want to protect what you have, you're not going to deliver, but you're going to protect what you have. If you wanted to be elected for government deals, once you're elected, you're going to be a thief, and you're going to get money other than deliver. So now, like myself, if I'll be elected as the next member of parliament of Limuru, I will deliver to the people of Kenya, and I will legislate to the people of Limuru. And I will deliver. The whole mandate I've been fighting for all through. But it is a question of character. That one, the way they change, they change because of, I heard that there's a philosopher who said, if you want to know the true measure of a man, it's not when you give him a lot of money. It's not when they are rich. It's when you give him power.
It's when you give them power.
Yeah.
Wakili Asab Cheriot joins us as well this morning. Wakili, how are you?
I'm well.
Karibu sana.
Yeah, sure.
It's a hard place to find.
Sorry for being late.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you here either way, even as you've come at this hour. But we're having a conversation around, looking at the week that was and what then it portends for politics. Folks are aligning and realigning and getting into a position whereby the selection will be made come 2027. There will be by-elections that will be held come the 27th of November, which folks are saying as well that this will show what, the next year will look like. Are you in agreement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, thank you for hosting me here. There will be election, that is the by-elections in different areas in Kenya, which of course many people, because of what it is termed as unpopularity of the ruling party, people are hoping to see if there will be changes in this coming election. I belong to the UDA, that is the ruling party, and I support. And we have fielded candidates.
What's the ruling party?
UDA.
Okay, you're a member of UDA.
I'm a member of
okay.
UDA, yeah. And we have filled, we have our candidates both in the Western Baringo senatorial seat, which of course today they are giving out the certificates in the UDA headquarters. I believe that it will reflect on how the elections will be come 2027. Because even in the previous election, you remember the Kiamba, there was one in the coastal region, which of course the Ruto's team then, he was out of the government, scooped a number of them.
He was in government just.
He wasn't the president, or he wasn't in the ruling party. He had deviated that.
But he was there.
Yeah.
He was in the office. He was the government.
We can say for the argument's sake, he wasn't supporting the government's.
But he was the president. But he was in
the government.
He
But in
should
terms
have
of the
just
party,
resigned.
he wasn't in the Jubilee party. He had stepped out.
No, he had not stepped. No,
that is the point. So
for the,
I think your question about
we highlight some things that he was not in Jubilee. He had stepped down. No, he had not stepped down. He was a member of Jubilee, and therefore he was the deputy president, and he was the deputy party leader of Jubilee.
Yeah, I do want to.
He was just going against the Jubilee constitution.
I don't want us to retrogressively focus on that. The point is, we are heading to that by-election, and we are ready as a party. And I'm sure that we're going to scoop a number of them. Sure.
What does it mean? What does it actually mean?
Because we have good indications.
Beyond a by-election,
yeah.
What does it mean when people have scooped particular positions? What does it mean when you look at the outlook of the nation and that now the attention is being put on a by-election and seems to be a focus for what 2027 will look like when there are very, very many other things happening in the country at the moment? It seems as though what Kamal was saying, whereby young people being brought up, we are taking people and we are recycling them and putting them onto this conveyor belt. So we're just taking people and we say, okay, you want to run for office? Come and then join. And we just continue doing the same thing. What then would be an element for change where we say that citizen-centered leadership and governance is going to take the day? From what you're saying, it's as though, okay, yes, young people are going to enter into this thing and now we're going to just join the ruling party and we're going to have the numbers and then we're just going to continue. What about these issues that we are seeing? Debt through the roof, education in a mess, the health system, we don't even want to start talking about. All of that seems to be going belly up. But what we seem to be focusing on is that, yes, it's the ruling party, it's got numbers, we are going to join and they're going to continue the party.
Thank you for your question again. I believe that even though there are shortcomings in the ruling government, which is a number of them, but also we have to be realistic that we have good indication in the ruling party. That is to say, look at the farmers; they are happy. They have gotten subsidies on the production, in the inputs of production. That is the fertilizer. Look at the health, the old revolutionary things in the health sector. We have now made healthcare not a privilege but a right, because through the of course SHA. People are getting health. I mean, you can go to an hospital and come out without paying anything.
Actually, you can't.
Oh, really? I'm sure about that.
Okay.
So I'm saying there are good indications, even though we have the shortcomings. But look at the good indication. Look at the Western Kenya. We have now sugar companies, producing what we can consume. For the last 3 years, we have not, as Kenya, we have not imported sugar.
That's not true.
It's not true. It's true.
It's 100%.
The last time the Ministry of Agriculture
The last time the Ministry of Agriculture told you that they imported sugar was when?
That is duty-free sugar.
That does
I'm
not
talking about the allocation.
That does not
That is
mean,
done through the Treasury.
Please hear my words.
Yes.
The last time the Ministry of Agriculture told you
that
they imported sugar was 4 years ago. That is not the last time that sugar was imported into the country.
You can import sugar, only you can pay the duty. I'm talking about duty free. We have. I mean, maybe you guys, you're talking about the industrial sugar. Of course, we can process that in Kenya, but the normal brown sugar we cannot import because we have enough. We have enough in our stores.
So the sugar that is, let's go with the sugar conversation,
sure.
shall we?
Yeah.
So let's take your big sugar companies, Sony.
Yeah, sure.
Mumias. Give me some more. Mohoroni. Chemelil.
Yeah.
All of those companies today producing sugar, it's being mopped up in the country. Sugar farmers, cane farmers, not having a problem, being paid bonuses. The sugar belt area is succeeding and thriving.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would beg to differ with you because I come from a sugar belt area called Migori County, and I live in a place called Uriri, and Awendo is where Sony Sugar is.
Yeah.
My father is a sugar farmer, and I would tell you the capacity that Sony Sugar is working in is not doing anything. If anything, farmers are taking their produce to private players.
So for your information, the last time...
as we speak, information that you're sharing is false.
Also, I'll tell you.
The last time, allow me to enter this.
Just hang on.
Yeah, I'm responding to him. The last time, because I remember this and I have it it was published. The last time the Ministry of Agriculture floated the allocation of sugar, which was duty free, it was 5,000 metric tons. The manufacturers or the processors, the millers went to court and said we have enough, and they prove it in court, and it was quashed. The whole allocation was quashed. So unless you're telling me you're a processor, so that you can show by facts that the sugar board of Kenya is not feeding us. It is feeding us up to the next 2 years, and that is a fact in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Please go ahead. Come on.
I am lacking words because I have not gone once or twice to Chemelil, to Njeri, when they have been having demonstrations demanding for effectiveness of those sugar companies. The cost of production that those companies undergo is too high, and they do not meet with what my brother here is saying. The farmers and the companies, they do not go hand in hand. The cost and even the bonuses, these people, they take too long to be paid. So I really wonder which sugar companies you're talking about.
At least you've mentioned the cost of production, because fertilizer, which we are now given as a government by at 2,500, which was before this regime came, it used to go by 6,000. So the cost of production is already reduced, and the farmers are happy.
I want you to tell us specifically that sugar and how examples sugar farmers. Sugar cane farmers received fertilizer at a reduced cost. They put it as an agricultural input, and a result of that have then been able to harvest, and we see that that is where the bonuses have come from. Remember that the 150 million shilling bonus that went to sugar farmers is said to not have come from the sugar sector. Remember that very clearly. So please explain to me how we see these inputs now coming to resulting in these bonuses that you're speaking about, which you said we're going to feed Kenya for the next 2 years. Do simple 1 + 1 = 2. Show us how that has been done.
If I'm to prove to you, I think...
No, it's not about proof. I just want to understand.
Yeah.
You've said... Well, actually, it could be about proof. You've said 2,500 shillings fertilizer.
Fertilizer, subsidized by the government.
Absolutely. We're talking about sugar. Tell us, Sony, Chemelil, Transoia, tell us where and how, because of this sugar that you said now will feed us for the next 2 years. That was a statement you made. Tell us how this input will result in feeding Kenyans for the next 2 years, and keeping in mind that the 150 million shilling bonus that is supposed to have been paid out to farmers did not come from sugar.
Yes.
Okay.
How?
The government chipped in. That is when Ruto came into the power. He talked and he was passionate about anything to do with agriculture, because he wanted to. We wanted to. That is the backbone of our economy. When you check on how they chipped in from the bonuses, from paying the debts that the companies, sugar companies had, from the wrangles on the leadership of those companies. Look at the Mumias, and all other sugar companies or the millers. You can see that. Before this regime, there was nothing happening. And remember, people used to bring sugar outside and package it here. And when this government came, they stopped the importation of sugar. So we can't argue, because
let's just do a straight line so it's very clear what we're talking about here. All right,
sure.
If we're talking about a profit that somebody has made, you cannot have bonuses unless a profit has been realized, unless there is surplus, because in any organization, it doesn't matter what you sell pencils, sell matchsticks. It is when you have a surplus that you will then be able to pay bonuses. All right, so sugar farmers in January this year, so let me just explain. In January this year, were told that they would get a bonus. The total amount of this bonus was 150 million shillings. Now, based on what you have just said, the government stepped in and chipped in, number one. Number two, the government came in to sort out the wrangles that we saw happening at Mumias as one of them. And that is how things now were able to get to at least zero. It is not possible that you tell me now that sugar companies will feed Kenya for 2 years if, number one, the government chipped in for a bonus, and number two, the government chipped in to ensure that the wrangles seen at management level in the sugar companies then were at zero. So how then do you tell me that the sugar companies are profitable after you saw debt relief and after you saw what is now being seen as a makeshift bonus payment that did not come from the sale of sugar? How? I want to understand. Because if we're talking about government intervention, that's different. But in this case, it gives us a false sense of prosperity that doesn't exist.
So, we're admitting that.
I'm admitting that you may be a little bit off the mark here.
Okay.
Come out.
I also want him to make it clear how SHA is working. When I'm looking at the Daily Nation today, that a whistleblower, who is the auditor or an auditor, who said that there were ghost hospitals, ghost facilities, 1,300 rogue facilities that were dishing out money from the system of that SHA. I want you to tell me how a hospital that is not the size of this room, how is it receiving 10 million, whereas at a level 5, level 6 hospital somewhere in a month it has either received 2 million or none? And I want you also to tell me why so many people in Kenya who are sick are going to hospitals. You said SHA is working. Why? Oh, it is working. Why then do we have so many cases of people? Every now and then we are attending harambes to go and fundraise money for people. Where else we have SHA? Juzi bro nilikuwa huko mtaa, huyu jamaa anashindwa anasema nini? 1.2 million on Sunday. There's a lady who is in KU referral. She cannot be able to raise 1.2 million. Manze SHA ilimlipia 10K. No, I want you to make it I wanted to make it make sense. You know, unajua kuna venye unaweza tetea kitu. No, listen. No, it's not a lie. How is it a lie, my friend?
SHA can never pay 10,000.
That is what it did.
If you are owed like more than 50,000, it pays. I want you.
You know what we will not do, unfortunately, is that we will just say things as they are.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
In this case, if and I'll tell you, and I will give you documentation that we're looking, for example, at a 486,000 shilling bill out of a hospital to my right on this road, down Mombasa Road and into Nairobi West, where somebody came out of ICU and came out of HDU with a 486,000 shilling bill after they had already paid 400,000 from their pocket just to be admitted. And SHA paid 81,000 shillings.
But
I mean, which cases are these?
Which cases are these?
Myself. Let me talk about reality now. I mean, leave alone.
Your reality is yours. Ours is.
I have been in the actually right now. I came from Nakuru. I've been in the ground for like 5 months now. I'm vying for the senatorial seat in Nakuru County.
Okay.
I've been helping people in Nakuru General Hospital for the last 4 months. I mean, it happened that I have an office in Joro, a law firm. So we've been helping people. I've been taking people in my car to the hospital, and I've seen help. SHA clearing.
Let's not even talk about help, but okay.
470,000. I mean, clean. The patient came out, she had an accident. I have taken more than 10 of them. You can call a local person, I mean, live on this interview. Just call anyone, even your church, who has gone to a hospital in anywhere, or even a person who's going to maternity, who's been charged. I mean, whose SHA never failed to pay.
Okay, so the thing is,
people,
the CEO
at
of
least
SHA,
you should admit that there are, in some cases, it's happening, and we have some minor cases which SHA is failing, and maybe now that is the point that the ministry should focus on. I mean, we can just come here and disregard everything that SHA is not working. It's working, man. It's been working.
Wakili, when you speak about matters to do with healthcare in the country, it is not a question of whether SHA is working or not.
At least
the conversation should be SHA is working.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? And fact that we are seated here today and giving examples of instances where SHA is working and some instances SHA is not working, fact that it's not working for some qualifies for anyone to say SHA is not working. Because at the end of the day, this system is supposed to work for each and every individual who has signed up in SHA. But that notwithstanding, the debate that has been there over time on SHA in terms of is it working, is it not working, there are glitches involved, the offices of SHA have been closed. All these create doubt on how SHA is working or not. When you talk about service delivery from the UDA government, Kenyans should be are the ones who will rate how the government is working. It is not the government to rate itself. It is Kenyans who use these services who will tell you whether these services are working or not. And unfortunately, Kenyans are saying SHA is not working. Kenyans are telling you a university funding model is not working. Kenyans are telling the government that in terms of constitutionalism and respect of rule of law, that is not there. The respect of human rights under the Bill of Rights is not there. As we move towards 2027, the question now is, as the government you are vying using a UDA, the question is, have you delivered to Kenyans, and are you convinced that Kenyans are satisfied for the 5 years that you've been there? Are you able to sit there and tell us today that all these promises under the better agenda have been achieved?
Absolutely. We're confident, and we are ready to tell Kenyans on their eyes, on their faces.
You know, it's not about
we have delivered. That we have delivered. Look at what Better had. look at talk of affordable housing. Look at job creation. Look at healthcare. I mean, which we've worked on it, and it's now improving. Before the time that Kenyans will be rating us on the 2027,
you say
we
us.
are confident.
You say us and we. Who is this?
The regime that is in. He asked me.
Oh, okay.
That is the UDA.
Okay.
He said, "I'm buying through UDA."
All right.
And what will I tell my people for them to elect me using the party that is the ruling government?
Come on, just
so
a minute.
we are ready, and we are sure that the reality is there.
Let me ask you, Wakili, you talked about housing. How many housing units did you, I'm going to say you
Promised,
now, because
exactly.
How many housing units did you promise that you were going to deliver every year?
In your manifesto.
And of course, we can rate.
It's a question that needs a number. How many housing units did this regime administration say it was going to provide every year?
I can't mention the number.
Because you don't know?
Because I don't know.
It's 250,000.
Yeah, but I know what we've delivered.
Which is what?
Which is 1,200.
1,200 units have been delivered in what period of time?
2 years.
In 2 years, 1,200.
Yeah.
So that's about 248,000 below the mark.
Yeah,
800 below the mark, right? What are the reasons for that?
The reasons, of course, when you're doing a manifesto, we've had regimes. I mean, this is not a new. This is not a new government. We are talking about people are seeing it. People are seeing it. 1,200 is a plus. It's a progress. I mean, we'll achieve that. We'll achieve that by 2027. We'll be
Wakili,
even if we're short of that.
I need you to breathe for a moment. And let's do some simple math here.
Okay.
We started this thing in 2022. The manifesto was clear. 250 housing units every year is what was going to be done. They're 3 years down the line now. In order for you to say something, there needs to be something that informs that. You will give information based on, we know that this and this and the other thing can be done. Now, based on that, we will give you a promise. This is what the assumption is. Now, 250,000 units is not 250. I just wanted to make it clear. Because one would say you surpassed it if you did 1,200. Then you would say, okay, actually we surpassed it. No. 250,000 per year. So if you do the math, in 4 years, you would have a million housing units. Now, in 2.5 years, we have 1,200, going by the number that you've given. Is this a disappointment, or are you on track?
Which is still wrong. It's still.
Let's just go with it. 1,200.
Right, yeah. I mean,
is it on track?
I can't say it's not. Because
you can't say it's not.
Because we have not achieved what we promised.
Please.
5 years is not yet over.
Okay.
We're here to deliver.
I'll continue from there. Wakili, being a lawyer, you did maths. 250,000 units against being 100%, against your 1,200. What percentage is that?
It's below what we promised.
No, what percentage is that?
I can't do the calculation.
0.00.
Yeah.
You know, I think 0.005%. That's below. It's not even 1%.
Yeah.
And you still want to sit here and talk that you have delivered. And also these houses, you building them with money from the Kenyan people tax.
Yeah, it's
housing levy, my friend.
Housing levy.
Now, I want you to tell me, you have collected housing levy tax.
Yeah.
That money is going to build those houses. Now, when we buy those houses, we're going to buy using our money. Where is the money going to?
It's a long-term investment by the workers of Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why?
It's not yet. We're not stopping that. We need more houses.
I have a question also. Why why are people who are having the pay? What do we call it?
Pay slip.
Pay slip.
Yeah.
buying the same with people who don't have payslips. If my payslip is deducted 1.5% of the housing levy, and someone else outside there have no payslip,
if you're not interested, if you're interested, we register in Boma.
We will sit here. We will sit here and have this discussion in terms of what has been delivered and what has not been delivered. But as we move forward, we need to understand what is to the table. We've sat here. We've seen what has been delivered, what has not been delivered. Question is, as we talk even about these in terms of opposition coming in, we're looking about alternative leadership that will bring something on the table. In terms of the opposition and their plan in taking over the office, what is it that they are bringing to the table to say that finally we're here to relieve Kenyans from the stresses? Because Kenyans are also saying from the opposition, it is the same people who have been in this government, who are part of this government, who are part of the affordable housing, SHA and everything else. What is the alternative that is coming from the opposition?
First I am...
Don't be distraught. This is about the opposition now.
I think the opposition, we're going to eradicate some of these characters from the system totally, because it is time we have real talks. We say the truth. We point out, and one, Wakili, you have to say the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And you have to say that you have to admit that you are wrong first. And then now from there, you'll be able to find solutions. Now, these people, is just like his boss, he keeps on lying.
Does the opposition as well admit that they have been part of the problem?
Yes, they admit.
Mm-hmm.
And
and how are they going to fix it?
What is their plan?
Now, the thing is, the plan of the opposition, once they come, like now, I have heard my party leader say it once and not again. Once he's in office, is to scrap off that housing levy, because it is Number two, that SHA, it will be streamlined and kept in order. Okay, we'll not go back to NHIF, but you're going to ensure that SHA is working for everyone. And there are some things, and I liked that you told him there are some things that we don't joke with. You don't joke with health. If it has to work 100%. You don't joke with education. It has to work 100%. You don't joke with agriculture. It has to work 100%. Now, so those are two. Number three, the opposition. We have we have agreed that they have been part of the problem, and they are being part of the problem. They are going to be part of the solution, because they need to know. They know what needs to be done.
Do Kenyans believe that the opposition have the solution? Let's speak about your party leader, One Kalonzo Musyoka. Does anyone? Do Kenyans believe that he has what it takes to transform this country, to change the mistakes of the past, if he has been part of the system that has seen Kenya end up where it is today?
Yeah, according to me, some part of people, his followers, that have been voting for him since 2007. He vied as president. He got 890 something votes, 800,000, 980 something votes. 2013, he got 1.3 to the table. He brought that to the table and gave it to Raila. 2017 added 1.5. 2022 he added 1.8. Now these are progressive votes. These are people who have believed in Kalonzo Musyoka. The other day we had him on TV, and this guy has immense knowledge on how the government should work. This guy has been a minister for foreign affairs, minister for education, minister for labor. He has been a vice president. He was a vice president when Kibaki was there. So this guy and Kibaki won whatever. And when Kibaki was in power, that is what we are eating today. I swear, if I had the late Mutula Kilonzo Senior, the late, he said one day you guys will sit and you will remember Moi Kibaki. And for sure we do. And for me, why am I with Kalonzo? And why do I love the man? He is progressive, and in each and every ministry he's been, he had to change. When he was Minister for Foreign Affairs, he brought peace to South Sudan. He brought peace to Congo. He has been in talks with Congo. When he was Minister for Education, he came in actually he's the one who implemented HELP. He was the one who gazetted HELP. And they gave I think is the current governor of Baringo, who was the first chair of HELP. And that is, he has the blueprint. Let me finish. When he was a Minister for Education as well, that is when we have experienced free education. So this guy is the mind behind Vision 2030. That is what he knows, and he's been part of the system. But the only problem is he has never been given the mandate to lead. But once he's given the mandate to lead, I think we'll have a better
briefly as we wind down. How do we then?
I've heard you asked about the opposition. I didn't know whether they exist a serious opposition, because they are always confused. The last time I checked, they had them talk of we don't have a plan yet. Our plan is Ruto must go, and once he's gone, once we're in office, we'll have to draft a manifesto. They said that, I think, in some way.
No, that's wrong.
So if you're talking about the opposition that is led by whether Gachagua or Kalonzo, those are the guys who've been in the leadership. I mean, you can't single-handedly point a thing that a transformative agenda or a transformative thing that Kalonzo Musyoka did when he was a vice president. Yeah, I mean, aside from just being there as a flower person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we can't say that we have a serious opposition.
Because
they can't have a plan. So
because of time, we have to end this conversation at this point. But it's clear, if from anything, that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of information needs to be consumed. A lot of education needs to happen.
A lot of fact-checking needs to happen.
Thank you so much for both of you for joining us this morning to look at the week that was. Though we stayed on a couple of topics, it's necessary for us to be involved in this discourse. Kamau Wambiu is the chair of the National Youth Caucus. Wakili Asab Chariot also joined us this morning. Thank you both for being here today. It's 9:02. Good morning.
News from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has praised the Social Health Authority scheme as he presided over the awarding of certificates to UDA candidates who will fly the party flag in November's by-election. Speaking at Hustler Plaza, Nairobi, Kindiki said SHA offers affordable healthcare coverage to individuals and families, assuring access to quality medical services. The government, he said, intends to have every Kenyan registered under the scheme by 2027.
Today, we are celebrating 26.5 million Kenyans already registered into universal health coverage. Target by December 31st is to have 30 million Kenyans enrolled. Target by December 2026 is to have between 42 and 47 million Kenyans registered. And the target by December 2027 is to have 56 million Kenyans, every Kenyan with a medical insurance card. That is phenomenal. It doesn't happen anywhere.
At the same time, UDA chairperson and Embu Governor Cecily Mbarire congratulated the candidates, reminding them to respect the electorate and seek votes humbly.
Go back mashinani, look for votes, go to every household, get votes. And when you go to look for votes, I have this to tell you. We are the ruling party. But that's not to mean that we look for votes with kiburi and arrogance na matusi. That is not our brand of politics. If you look at our party leader and deputy party leader, they are both very humble. Though big people, they are very humble. So enda utafute kwa unyenyekevu, usiende kusema mupende musipende sisi ndio serikali hii kiti tumepata. Enda ukisema tafadhalini tuwaomba kura zenu.
For his part, UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar reiterated that the party will not field candidates in select electoral units and will instead support ODM candidates in the spirit of the broad-based government.
And I think we have agreed that for Baringo Senate, for Berry North, for Malava, and for Banisa, UDA will field candidates without any ODM candidates being fielded in those areas. And for the areas of Kasipul, Unguja, and Magarini, we will allow ODM to field candidates, and we will go there to support those candidates as a joint candidacy.
Muslims for Human Rights, or Muhuri, has accused Inspector General Police Douglas Kanja and his deputy Gilbert Masengeli of setting a dangerous precedent by openly defying court orders. The group says the judiciary's reluctance to act against the two is fueling impunity at the highest levels of law enforcement. In a letter to the Judicial Service Commission, Muhuri argued that the police chief's failure to comply with lawful court directives amounts to contempt of court and a blatant violation of the Constitution. The organization also faulted judicial officers for applying double standards, noting that ordinary citizens who disregard court rulings are swiftly sanctioned. Muhuri board member Khalif Khalifa said police bosses are ignoring court orders with the tacit approval of the courts, calling it contempt of court and a violation of the Constitution. Drug barons in Njeri are using college and university students to peddle drugs in the institutions. Nyeri County Commissioner Ronald Mwiwawi has revealed. The administrator says the unscrupulous businessmen are targeting students from humble backgrounds where they have devised new tactics of enticing them with flashy gifts such as high-end cars and lavish lifestyles to woo them into the illicit trade. Speaking during a Jukwa Lawasomi initiative in Nyeri, which brought together student leaders from universities, technical training institutes, and the security players in the county, Miwawi said the forum created a platform for them to have an in-depth discussion touching on the issues affecting the youth and how to mitigate them. President Donald Trump says a deal to find a new owner for social media app TikTok in the United States is done, and that has the blessing of China's President Xi Jinping. On Thursday, Trump signed an executive order that declared his planned deal met the requirements of a law that had called for banning the app in the US unless it was sold by its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. In comments in the Oval Office, he and Vice President DJ Vance said a group of investors would buy TikTok's US operations to create a new company valued at $14 billion. That's the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we may find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Looking for convenience, variety, and speed all in one place? Welcome to Digger Shop, the official e-commerce platform by Standard Group PLC. From the latest electronics and fashion must-haves to home essentials and unique Kenyan crafts, we've got it all. And guess what? Enjoy countrywide delivery within 48 hours straight to your doorstep. Shop smart, shop secure, and shop with confidence. Visit shop.digger.co.ke. That is shop.digger.co.ke. Digger Shop. Dig it, shop it, love it.
All great! Feel the pure, unfiltered power of football on Star Times. Precision, athleticism, football as it's meant to be. That's the Bundesliga experience. Electrifying performances from Germany's finest. Feel the passion, artistry, and strength. The power of our football. La Liga brings you flair and creativity of Spanish football. The rising stars of the Saudi Pro League. The high-stakes energy of the Saudi Super Cup. And the unpredictable thrills of the Carabao Cup. Your screen is the center of the global game. Renew your subscription today at only 329 shillings for Nyota Bouquet on the aerial decoder or 549 shillings for Nova Bouquet on the dish decoder. This isn't just football, it's passion, drama, glory. Download the Star Times app to never miss a match even when you're on the move. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Imabo, utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice. When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases, it's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, looking into conversations this morning at now 9:15. A very good morning to you, and into the final conversation for Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, this Friday. It's a Healthy Friday conversation, and we're getting into one that a number of people go through and or experience, and maybe not sure what to do with it or about it exactly. But we'll talk about that, and we'll get into it this morning. Our guests today for this conversation around dementia and how to actually deal with it. Dr. Catherine Siengo Mutisia, who will join us in a bit. She's a psychiatrist. And Monica Njeri is a caregiver and founder of Women for Dementia Africa. She's here this morning and joins us. Good morning.
Good morning, Duhu.
How are you doing, Monica?
Good morning. Very well.
You're well?
Glad to be here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
You walked in and said it's good to see live people. Where have you been before? Where you have
I've been seeing you online. I've been seeing you online.
Oh,
yeah.
See you live. Okay.
So I said the wrong one. Live. Seeing you, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, thank you for coming.
For this conversation.
Thank you for being here. Dr. Mutisia will be with us in a minute.
She's actually around.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Yeah,
so she'll be here in a few.
Okay.
And even as she does, just getting around, and we're having conversations today around dementia, caring beyond memory loss, and to get definitions of what this is. And maybe there are folks who are actually suffering from this and we do not know, or we do not know how to handle it. This makes our Friday, Healthy Friday conversation for today. So happy to have you in the room.
Thank you.
For those of you who are just tuning in, we are on our live streams. They're up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and our audience on KTN. If you have just turned on your TV, our conversation continues this morning. So let's start off the conversation with you, but Dennis is going to take you to Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay.
And we would like to hear your interpretation.
All right.
Yeah, so as we wait for Dr. to step in now, when you talk about Côte d'Ivoire, a lot of things stand out, you know. It is a country that is well known for its cocoa. 40% of cocoa that is shipped to the world comes from Ivory Coast. That means the chocolate that we eat across the world, there's a possibility of having a piece of Côte d'Ivoire. And when you talk about rubber, so if you drove yourself here, that tire might have just come from Côte d'Ivoire as well. They also have coffee, but when you talk about coffee, we say Kenyan coffee slaps best, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but let's go to the proverb today. The proverb talks about the chameleon. Now, the chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking. How would you interpret that?
Just it's cautious. It's cautious of what is ahead and what is behind. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Dr. Siengo, how would you interpret that?
Please repeat the question.
The chameleon looks in front and behind before walking.
So it's careful. It's like the way we used to be told, look left, look right before you cross the road.
Yeah. And red means stop.
Yes.
Amber means get ready. Green means go.
All right. So, I mean, good to have you here also, Dr. Mutisia. Thank you for joining us. And as we're just talking and you know, going over things, as we look into the issue of dementia on our Healthy Friday conversation, happy to have both of you in the room today. And we eat look, there have been many words that have been used to explain a situation that is dementia. People have said, well, that person has gone mad, or they've lost their mind, or they've essentially lost it. Those words have been used. But let's start off with a definition of what dementia really is before we start to look at how then it presents. We'll start with you, Dr. Terry.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dementia, what every other person would refer to is memory loss, progressive memory loss, which is severe to affect the functioning, the daily functioning, to affect one's career, and to affect one's operations. So like if you used to manage your home without much problems, then it starts affecting. We all forget depending on how many things we have to do. But for dementia, then it has to have been investigated and diagnosed. It is sad that in our setup, we tend to get patients with dementia when it's severe. When they start forgetting things, you'd find someone bought a kilo of meat, put it somewhere in the bedroom and forgot about it until it starts smelling is when they discover, oh, there was meat. Or maybe the children will come and ask, where is that stench coming from? Then they discover she placed the meat somewhere planning to cook it and forgot about it. Some people will have even lost money, they don't know where they placed it, and accuse other people of having stolen it. So it is progressive memory loss. It will be caused by, we have different types. So there is the one which we can't find the cause, which is called Alzheimer's, named after the person who discovered it. There is one related to stroke, related to injury to the brain, of course, related to other neurocognitive disorders.
Okay.
Yes.
So all of these diseases, conditions, Alzheimer's, all of this, they are forms of dementia?
Yes, dementia is the blanket, it's the bigger term.
Okay.
And there are various types of dementia. And they can be caused by different things. Yes. So Alzheimer's dementia is one of them. Vascular dementia is the one related to stroke. There are others with difficult terms, like depending on what you would find in the biopsy of the brain. Yes.
Okay. How does this present, Monica? What would we see? And how would a person behave that would make us think that there was something wrong?
Dr. Terry has shared many. For me, having been affected by the disease for over 20 years, we started seeing our mom forgetting where she's parked, her car, and severally, and we'd laugh over it. And we'd say, and then she would laugh over it. Together, we worked together together in her businesses. So she could forget. She would go to the gym and forget what clothes she came with. Those were the signs. And then she avoided people because she was because she was knew something was not amiss. So she kept off friends. She just kept to her close family. So, but we didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. This is 2002, 2000.
Yeah. So here's a question where so you for a while you saw differences. Mom forgetting, she goes to the gym, she doesn't remember her clothes, where she parked, and all this. And when it starts, one would say, maybe I'm a choker, they're tired or something, and we dismiss it. But at what point then did it hit you? Did you have to go to hospital for diagnosis for you to know there's a problem, so that you start you start now giving the proper care that she needed? And at that point, just how long had it been?
We started seeing those signs as we explained. But 2003, she was fortunate enough, because I think it was becoming too frequent, the episodes. So she was taken to, she was actually had to go to an MRI 2003. She was the fortunate ones. The fortunate one that were able to do those days. And her husband, who I'm caring for, our dad, he's the one who sat us down as a family and shared that heavy name. Your mom, the way those behaviors she's been having of late is because she's got a disease that is terminal, and there's no cure for it, and it's going to be progressive. He actually shared the details of the disease, and all we need to do is to care for her. And she said it's Alzheimer's. That time I remember when she broke down, when he broke the news, I was just in tears. I mean, terminal, you just say it in cancer. This is, what is it going to look like? We were very naive. 2003, yes.
What causes this dementia that we speak of? And we assume that it's old age only, that things start to wear off as you get older. But what causes it, Dr.
Okay, maybe even before I go to the cause, I can share an example of a close relative, a male this time. And like the question you asked, I don't have their permission. They might even be watching. So I will not mention who they are, but they are dear to me. So it could be like, like for him, he reversed his car. You know, somebody who would drive well, a pickup, reverses on a child. And you wake up, oh, there's something wrong. This man used to concentrate. What is happening? And then depending on what they used to do, when they discover they are forgetting, then they will tell you, yes, I can remember you. But the next second, they'll ask you a question. So, who are you? And they say they remember you. So it is not easy to accept that you forget. And depending on what you used to do, and if you're a high functioning person, you would cover up. So you will say, yes, I remember you. What is my name? Then anasema sina kujua tu. So back to causes, I said there are various causes. So Alzheimer's, we can't find the cause. We'll do an MRI or a CT scan of the brain and see the brain is shrinking. The cause, those who have uncontrolled blood pressure, diabetes, at least we have an idea. Those who have another physical illness, even substances. There are some drugs, even long-term conditions like the prostate, there are some drugs which affect memory. And there are some drugs people tend to use a lot, benzodiazepines, things like diazepam or ile wanasema mchele inawekewa watu wanalala. They also affect memory on the long term. Alcohol, can cause dementia, and many people don't realize that, especially when you've reached the stage of addiction. General physical conditions like systemic diseases like SLE. Lupus, people know about lupus, thyroid disease. So various diseases can also affect the brain and cause dementia. HIV. You know, Kenyans are forgetting where we were in 80s, that when we didn't have the antiretrovirus, we would see people in the terminal end stage severe disease of HIV. So we had what we called encephalopathy. It's now coming back because people are not as taking it as serious as they did then, because the media is also not talking about it. So you can have HIV causing dementia, but of course there'll be other associated symptoms. Syphilis. These days there's cure for syphilis, but you see in men it can go undiagnosed for many years. So depending on where you are and whether you're accessing treatment. So it could even be injury. You get a road accident, brain injury, and you develop this progressive memory loss. But that one, at least you can associate it to the injury. This other one, you can associate it to uncontrolled blood pressure, and you can associate it to people with diseases like SLE, lupus. They are explained that with time it might progress and even affect the brain. Cancers, you could have a cancer in the stomach, it goes to the brain, or from another part, even from the bones, it goes to the brain. Breast cancer can also, in the later stages, go to the brain. So there are various causes. Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's a question where most of the time it has happened, we've gone to hospital, and there is the burden of the patient themselves accepting it is a problem. And most of the time you find someone just becomes angry because they're being associated with stereotypes that do exist to you, amekuwa mwenda wazimu and whatnot. So in terms of a family that is taking care of the patient as caregivers, how do we go about it? Because you say you have taken care of mom. How do we go about it so that we give this patient the best care there is, and also so that they do not feel as though their condition will make them feel isolated from the society?
Yes, so unfortunately mom is no more. Mom passed on 18 years ago this month. So currently I'm caring for our dad. How do we care? I think because of the agitation, one of the things they know, as Daktari has said, they know there's something not right with their brain. They know these were high functional people. They were teachers, they were mothers, they were business people. And they just realized, wow, there's something not adding up in myself. So they get into different realities. They'll start saying, I want to go home, and this is their home. Get into that reality with them. Do not argue with them. Do not correct them. Tell them now, maybe distract them. In the evenings, afternoons is when we call sundown. They sound down a lot. It's the when they somehow they become showing more symptoms of change of behavior. They'll be unpacking, and it's always about going home. That's why you'll always find in social medias that somebody is lost. This has been announced because they left at the gate in their process of going, and then they left maybe in Buruburu. They were found in Syokimau walking. So it's you getting to their reality. It's you getting and not agitating them and accepting. And initially it's hard for the family. This was your mother, and you knew what she was capable of doing. So, and what she was doing for you. So even accepting is a difficult person. It's a difficult thing. Most families do not go, especially the gentlemen in the family. They find it difficult, they avoid, because maybe the mom is thinking they are their brothers instead of their sons. You know, going home and finding your mother telling you, hey, where have you been? How is your mom? And your mom died many years ago, and he thinks you are the son, and you're thinking, this is your mother is thinking this is the brother. So most gentlemen, they keep off. So be in their space. I think that is the best thing, and love on them. Can
it be temporary? Dementia onset, can it be temporary and then just phases and disappears?
Yes, depending on the cause.
Okay.
So if it was stroke, for example, it resolves over time, depending on how severe it was and which part of the brain it has affected. So with physio and control of the blood pressure, some of them could improve. If it's an injury, you expect some healing over some years, depending again on the severity and which part of the brain is injured. But sadly, some types like Alzheimer's, so like things like infections like HIV, if you increase the CD4 count and lower the viral load, then their memory could improve. But when it comes to Alzheimer's, which we actually do not know the cause, then the sad thing is, even for us doctors, we have to sit with the family and tell them that now you need to prepare for long-term caregiving, that the medication we have are going to reduce the speed, they are not curing. And you see, for somebody who understands, like you and me, if you got the diagnosis and you're being told, now prepare, that it is going to be worse, then you see what you have watched in TV, what you have heard, and you imagine, so in 10 years, I will not be able to take care of myself. So in 10 years, I will not know who I am. So for those who are intelligent and they are high functioning, it's usually very difficult for them. And even for us, when you have a family member with, let's say, Alzheimer's disease, then you start wondering. I've heard family members say, so how do I know? How do we know who else will be affected? Because sometimes Alzheimer's disease can run in the family. So there is all that anxiety. And you see, once it's severe, the person might not have now know that they are forgetting and they're in peace. But the people around them will actually be the ones suffering because this person will need 24 caregiving. They go to the extent of forgetting to eat. Or they eat and ask, how come you're not serving me breakfast? How come you're not giving me lunch? Or like she said, they will say, I want to go home. So long-term memory is usually the last to go. So because the very intelligent ones will overcompensate by telling you stories of their childhood. So you, every time you meet them, they'll tell you how they used to go to primary school, who was their teacher, how they struggled with school fees, but they don't talk about yesterday. They don't talk about last year. So because the old memories are usually the last to go. They will not forget their first language, depending on where they grew up. They could forget English if it was a second language, but their first language will be the last to go. And likewise, the childhood family members would be the last to be forgotten. Yes.
You've mentioned something about medication and that it lowers the speed. What does that mean?
So if you are to compare someone who is on medication and one who is not, the one without medication will progress very fast. So in 5 years, if you compare, one will be worse off than the other. So the one without medication will be worse off than the other. So that is what I mean by reducing the speed of the progression. They will still worsen, but not at the same speed. Yes.
Yeah.
Even the new treatments we are having, they are still on trial. Like I have one of my patients who went to check on the treatment being done at John Hopkins, but because the stage was severe, they were told, no, this one we are trying on newly diagnosed before the memory has progressed. So even the newer treatments are on trial. And so far, we don't have any which we can say it's effective. This one will stop it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what therapies do you use? I mean, we talk about care in just a minute, but if you're looking at, medicine or therapies, psychiatric therapy, do you use something like that to manage the condition?
Okay. So there are two groups. Yes, there is the family and there is the patient. So, because the person gets to know the reality that in 10 years, I may not be able to recognize my children, they could get depressed. At the time they start losing things because they misplaced them, they could start blaming the people they are living with. Then there's conflict. Because if you're living with someone, you have not taken their things and they keep accusing you and you don't understand what is happening. There are cases where people have been attacked by their workers because you keep accusing them.
Yeah.
And they think, so you think I'm so poor, I'm stealing from you. So, because they do not understand, the society doesn't understand. So I think it's very key if you see your own close person forgetting, to have them assessed and make sure everybody living with them understands. You shouldn't argue with them. So if they tell you, I remember you, don't argue with them, don't ask them to prove. Just accept it. If the next minute they ask you who you are, just introduce yourself.
Again.
Yes, don't argue with them. Don't tell them you've already told me this story. Don't repeat this. You already told me you know me. Why are you asking who I am again? So work with them. Be patient with them. So the therapy depends on what we are seeing. Okay. So some get agitated, they get frustrated. And you see now with the cases of even property. So you know that in the next 1 year, you may not be able to manage your accounts, your PINs. So you have to delegate this to someone else. And sometimes some people are not honest. So that can cause agitation. Or you really feel like I really have to depend on someone to do my accounts, manage my finances, manage my property. It can make you feel really bad when you're very independent and you thought you had planned your retirement life. So if there's depression, we treat depression. If it needs medication, we put medication. If it needs therapy, you do therapy. Like prepare the person, yes, this is the reality, but none of us gets to know how we'll exit. So we have to accept different people. It's like when you're told you have cancer, you still have to be prepared to accept. So you prepare the person to accept the diagnosis. As time goes on, it will not bother them, but it will bother the family. But I think the family is usually the worst hit, because they can't believe this man who was my father, very strong, very on top of things. I have to manage them, even remind them to eat, choose them which clothes to wear, make sure they shower, make sure they dress, the shirt is not worn inside out. So the family has to come to terms with us, and they have to learn to know that in future they have to be there full-time, or even have to have full-time carers who they need to be sure they are not abusing the person, because sometimes you can have the carers abusing the person.
So what did you do at the time that made it more comfortable in those spaces and that worked?
That worked?
Yes.
As I'd mentioned, not agitating them, because I think the big thing is agitation. And then having a plan for them. Don't just, because they are at home, plan, have a program for them. Like this time we'll have breakfast, in lunchtime, maybe this time we go for a walk, and then this time we come back, we take a snack. Have a plan for them, because just don't operate ad hoc. This is time for nap, just like the way you plan for, I don't want to call them, that's a wrong term, babies, the way you plan to care for your baby, to care for your baby. This, although I don't want to use that word baby on them, because they're adults. So have a plan for them. And then music therapy does work well for them. It soothes them well. Put them their music. If they were in the 70s, put on. If they were during the time, maybe in the 70s, dance. Distract them with a dance. Or if they loved praise and worship, put that. If they loved hymns, put that. Do lots of walks, because it works. It works well for in the evening when they start saying they want to go home. They are restless. And just love them. Just love and massage. If you are the daughter or the people, even you, if you've engaged, then the paid caregivers massage, hold their hands, because there's a time they feel like they are falling or something. Notice any movement in themselves. Then things like TV, because that distracts them. TV in their spaces, because they think that's the reality. If you're watching the National Geographic on TV, it becomes a reality to them. The lions are in the house, or the snakes. Those ones you cancel. If there are mirrors in the house, when they look at a mirror, they don't see themselves. They see an old woman, or they see somebody else, not them. And when they find themselves arguing in the mirror, and they say, that woman who is always in this house, I don't like her. I don't like the way they look. The woman looks different, because she's maybe in her dira, in her casual. And maybe this is a lady who was a teacher, well dressed up, and she's seen an old woman, and that's her.
So we talk about caregivers, and more, I'm looking at a situation where say you are a career woman and it's your parent, and you have to bring someone to look after your mom. Now, how do you go about it, and how do you train these caregiver? If you're not able to get the professional ones, how do you train the caregiver who's there to know what to do, to always be updated on the changes that are there, and that you equally are in synergy? Because most of the time you would assume that the caregiver knows, and you come back and there was war in the house because they could not understand each other. So how then do you go about it?
Yes. Now, you normally use informal caregivers, somebody who was maybe a house manager in your home, or in their home, the one who cared for them, the one who's familiar in their home. One thing we encourage you, if your mom is or your loved one is in the village, and you're in the city, do not bring them to your space, because first of all, you will be more overwhelmed by the behavior that they bring in the house. Having the incontinence is one of the biggest thing. So they'll end up not being they will do their work, their business in the sitting room or whatever, and that will not be very good for your children. So we always encourage people to keep them at home in their reality. The smells, they wake up to the cows, they wake up to the chickens running around, all that is important for them. So if you're using and then you have a caregiver who is informal, put a program for them so that they can follow. That this time mom needs to go for a walk, this time dad needs to go for a walk. And of course the people in the homestead, they kind of are in sync. But those in Nairobi, in the city, and you're staying with them, or put all these things in place, like the program, a plan for them works. It also spares your agitation and your frustration in care. It also helps you in in just being organized, because you are disorganized and your person is struggling. It doesn't make it doesn't work well.
So that's interesting, Dr. Musia, because lots of people, from what we've seen, even from testimony, that may have don't have an opportunity for all-round, care with a caregiver, and a lot of people end up alone. People who may have early onset dementia or even full-blown dementia are left by themselves. They may be fed. Is that? It sounds horrible to say, but is that counterproductive, or are they then, because with memory loss, is there degeneration then of brain function and brain thinking along the line? And so the thought that they're on their last days, on their final days, so let them just be. Is that a way to handle this?
No. One, I want to emphasize that it's best for that person to be in the environment they understand.
Okay.
So if they are in their own house, they know where the toilet is, they know where the neighbors are. Although with time, they will also forget their toilet and their bathroom. But it's good to stay in the familiar environment. And of course, when you have people engaging you, you learn more. So like in this time of technology, remember during COVID, countries like UK would send volunteers to go and teach the elderly how to get into Zoom, how to video chat. That makes them learn new things. So I think that's why in the West, if they are not available, then they end up preferring to take you to a home where you can be with other people who you could share like similarities but in our setup we have one that support care is affordable. That you can afford to have someone take care of the person, unlike in the West. And two, we are still a community.
Yes.
So your neighbor, even if it's here in Nairobi, your neighbor would definitely care about you. If they find you lost, they will take you back home. Unlike in the West, where nobody minds anyone's business. The other thing I found in our setup is getting somebody who speaks their first language. Because that is the last to go. So as you look for a carer, consider all those things, age also, and if there's someone already they liked. If you can employ a relative they were already familiar with, the better. Although sometimes they will lose things and tell you to go away. I don't want you here, you have been stealing my things. I can take care of myself, you go away. So some people will end up, they chase the helper. Then the helper has to be prepared, this will happen. It's not personal, it's just that they're forgetting. They are getting frustrated. Yes, so basically they need people to stimulate them. And that's why we say all of us, like those of us who are over 50, you have to keep learning new things, new technology, use your mind a lot. The board games, engage with the young people. I'm happy that, yes, we know social media is bad, but when I see 60-year-olds trying to learn, trying to learn how to go to Twitter, to X, how to go to TikTok, how to go to Instagram, they are learning something new. As long as they don't overstay there, it's better than somebody who decides mimi kamwisi is enough. Because when you have a smartphone, you also learn. So everybody should keep learning new things. Because one thing with dementia, it is advanced age. Because even if we look at hypertension and lifestyle diseases, they begin at 40, most of them on average. So it means that then we can't start talking of dementia. We have childhood dementia, which is undiagnosed most of the time, but majority of it is after 40. After 40 is early, 50s is early, but we are seeing early now, early dementia. Lifestyle diseases are contributing to that. So we also need to make sure that our lifestyles are healthy, exercise, eat healthy, manage weight. Yes, so basically that.
So there is the aspect of dementia being a disease, an illness. One would then look at provisions, say, government access to healthcare, access to services. And where would you rate that, and I would also throw that to you at the time when you were taking care of mom, and even now as you take care of dad, how is it in terms of getting assistance from hospitals in the country? How easy is it? How heavy is the burden?
Yes, now that is a very big problem in this country, because first of all, like I have a case when COVID was there, and a loved one of a friend was in hospital with COVID, and you remember the isolation, and she couldn't understand what was going on, and then the healthcare facility in this government office facilities were not understanding what's going on with this lady. She's just difficult, and she couldn't keep her masks on. She could keep her, what were those things they were wearing? PPEs on. She couldn't because of her change of her state of dementia. And it was so difficult for they were saying she's sumbua, she's disturbing. And they ended up sending her home. In fact, they loved and just said, even if this COVID gets us, we might as well just continue. That shows how limiting that the health system does is not there for people living in dementia. And when you go, like I remember we had admitted our dad in hospital, and you have to have the caregiver spend the night with him, because he needs to have somebody who understands, who will, when he wakes up, return him back to his bed, etc. So they still need, I don't know if Daktari, you'll say, I don't know how much of dementia the syllabus is catered for in the nursing curriculum, the doctor's curriculum, even the first one, because it looks like it's very little. It's very, very little. So when we have people struggling with dementia, there's no information for care for this person.
You're very right. And if I may look at, for example, psychiatry, I'm a psychiatrist, old age psychiatry. Africa is a majority young people. So people have not provided for the old age, yet now people are living longer. So you find that even right now is when we are embracing old age psychiatry. In the West, their population is older, so they have built up systems for care of the old people, and you will not find them like the way you would find a children's ward. You will not find a ward which is modified to accommodate the elderly. One, because our population is generally young, and this is something we are learning. So there's a lot of gap in it, and this is a wake-up call. Of course, general healthcare is not well covered. It is worse when a population is totally ignored, and so the care is left to the family members. We've also seen caregivers who just want this person to be put on sleeping drugs so that they don't disturb them. So you really, the ideal would be have services for the young, for the middle-aged, and for the old. Because, in an elderly ward, you'd expect a ramp, you'd expect a wheelchair, you'd expect space for them to walk around, roam about, you'd expect enough occupational therapy. People playing games with them, engaging them, talking to them differently. In fact, I would think now an old people's ward should look like more of a children's ward because they might want to play as much as kids would play and learn new things the way kids do, because they end up forgetting how to eat, they end up forgetting how to be incontinent, they end up forgetting how to take the activities of daily living. So they become like kids. So you should have a ward or systems to take care of the elderly as well as for take care of the children, but it's a big gap in all trainings because we were used to a young population. Yes.
Is it possible for younger people to have an onset of dementia?
Yes, there's childhood dementia, which is rare. Diagnosed in childhood, which is rare, and many of them don't live until they are old. but most of it is from midlife. Because I've said, depending on the cause, of course, accidents and cancers can affect children and can cause dementia, and systemic diseases like lupus can affect young people. But majority of it is from 40 years, because vascular diseases will get severe after 40. Alzheimer's, the earliest, will be in 50s. So it's usually majority are older.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And is it hereditary?
Yes, there is a genetic predisposition. You tend to have several family members having it. But you see, again, our life expectancy is changing. So if your grandfather died in their 50s, maybe they would have had dementia, but they didn't live until 60. So you will find maybe your own father develops dementia at 70. And you say, we've never seen this disease. But none of the relatives lived up to 70. So there's genetic predisposition, especially for Alzheimer's. Yes.
So if it's hereditary, and now that we have the information, how does one go about it? Because does one now say, I'm waiting for it to come? Is there a way for me to go around it, take care of myself? How do I go about it?
Oh, you can't tell who will get it. It's not 100% that if my father had dementia, I'll get it. Or you can't tell who will get it. But there are general things which all of us need to do. Lifestyle changes. Eat healthy. Make sure your weight is within normal, not obese, not overweight. Make sure if you are diagnosed to have hypertension or diabetes is controlled. It's very sad that many people say, I will not take antihypertensives. I know when my blood pressure goes high, I will get a headache. That is not true. By the time you get a headache because your blood pressure is high, then you're getting a stroke and it's too late. So if you are diagnosed to have hypertension or diabetes, please take your medication, go for your reviews, unless the doctor says stop or reduce the medication. Don't say, I can tell when my blood sugar is increased. So because that is what happens, that somebody keeps saying they can tell when their blood pressure is high until they get a stroke or they get diabetes complications. So lifestyle diseases, exercise, eat well, stimulate your brain. Most of the time, we exercise our bodies and forget to exercise our brains. When they say when you are retiring, it's encouraged you go back to school. It helps your mind. You might not be doing it for money, but it stimulates your mind. Teaching and mentoring might not be benefiting. You might not need the money, or you might have had enough retirement plan, but when you interact with young people, they teach you things which you will not learn. So we need to take care of our physical health as well as our mental health. Yes.
Monica, so here's...
I was going to add a bit on the research that is going on. In an institution in Kenya, the shown loneliness is one of the biggest, together with hypertension. So if you find, and that's caused by depression, I think, I don't know, maybe when you reach menopausal for women, and I don't know, for men when they end up retiring. So depression, when sets in, you isolate yourself. So isolation is one of the biggest things. People need to be with their parents or their loved ones all the time. They need to, if you need to visit don't leave your home. If they're in the village, you must visit. Make sure there's somebody visit them. Engage them. And as we grow older, we need to keep into our companies. You're all schoolmates. Thank God there's WhatsApp. We look for each other from primary. We are all in these WhatsApp groups. Keep them going. If there's chamas, don't fail. And if your chama member, this member keeps missing 3-4 times, go to them and say what's going on. Church is another area where if you are a church or religious institution, make sure the person, somebody who is maybe feeling isolated, if they are missed, go pick them. Go find out what's going on. We have not seen you. And if you see the dilly-dally, you try and use ways. If maybe it's incontinence that is giving them problem, introduce them to different kind of ways of managing the incontinence, like pull up diapers, so they don't feel, okay, once in a while I'm in church and I can't get to the toilet, so I keep away.
Is it an expensive affair, the care management?
Oh, it is an expensive affair. It's an expensive affair. Remember, you have to have somebody, that's why I say it's a family disease. You have to have somebody to employ to take care of this person, and like this other diabetes, where you just take medicine, and hypertension or mental health. This one, you have to have somebody with you throughout, maybe most of the time, especially when the disease progresses. And then the expenses like healthy diets, because that is one of the things. If you're managing diabetes with healthy meals, it's hypertensive. What is good for the brain is good for what is good for the heart is good for the brain. And what else do you need? Pampers, because incontinence becomes a problem when they cannot be able to go to the bathroom.
To someone who's listening to you and perhaps they don't know, what is going on, what would be your message? Someone who's just feeling down, choker, what would be your advice to them, and even for the patients that take care of?
The caregiver. It's not the end of the. It's not the end of the world. Listen to those old stories. You never knew your loved one. They even sent up telling you your boyfriend that they had. Listen to the stories that you missed. Their friends in school. Do not be patient with them, and sit in, make time for them, because it's a long. And we say dementia is not a split. It's a marathon. It's a long run. It may take between 10 to 15 years with this loved one. So we say, enjoy them, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey with them.
And before we lose the point of loneliness, if I might just emphasize on that, that once you begin your 50s, you also need to start planning. When I exit from, if you are formally employed, what is it that I'll be doing? Because, like in Japan, people work, and once you find what you enjoy, then it gives you a purpose to live. It stimulates your mind. So don't just retire and sit at home. And don't retire and start the plan then. You need to have planned how to engage your mind. And that's what I'm saying. Even if it means going back to school, it might not be a degree or a master's. It could be a diploma or a skill.
Something to keep your mind
like I think people on internet have discovered there are these adverts of AI classes for over 40. So I think they have discovered that over 40 years you need some of this. Learn something, even if it's online, to stimulate your mind. And it's very important that you don't stay alone and you don't isolate yourself. Work provides. You see, you came here, you chatted. Work provides that environment. People retire and they wait for their phones to be called and no one is calling.
True.
So you need to plan because then these diseases come at that time, and it can actually accelerate the speed. So it is a two-way, that visit your loved ones and engage them, but they also, everyone, and I'm in that age group, you need to start planning. How do I exit? Do I have a business I'm going to? How will I be making sure I'm mentally engaged? In addition, you can't exercise the whole day. I see people saying, I'll go and play golf. You can't play golf throughout
the day, right?
Yes, it's good, but you need something to also stimulate your mind. Yes.
It's been a conversation on Healthy Friday about dementia, onset, care, management, treatment, and all of that. Something that sometimes we don't talk about because it to an extent sometimes makes us uncomfortable, but necessary for us to do. And we want to thank you both for being here. Dr. Catherine Siango Mutisia, psychiatrist, as well as Monica Kenyanjui, who's a caregiver and founder of Women for Dementia Africa. Thank you for being here this morning with us and for closing out the show for us today as we get into the weekend. Thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, through this week, and we're going into the last week of September next one. Thanks a lot, and let's keep the conversations going. Good morning. It's 10:01.
Thank you.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Edwin Lisamira. 26.5 million Kenyans are now registered under Deputy President Kithure Kindiki